Sports Talk coming to you on the 1st of November. That is right.
Welcome in, Jake Lamont, Brandon Wojcinski, Dan Lucero with you. Or as the time that I like to call it in my house, Christmas. My wife goes from Halloween to Christmas. Very quickly. She said to me this morning, when can I put up the tree?
I have my wife and I are on different sides of the spectrum. Like, up to me, tree is going up like December 14th. Like it Christmas, long Christmas time, but that is Christmas time. There is a lot before Christmas.
There's Thanksgiving.
Abby, on the other hand, for example, told me yesterday the other day while I was cleaning the kitchen. You know, there are studies that say people are happier when Christmas decorations go up earlier.
So it sounds a lot like your wife and my wife are one and the same.
I told her we can put them up earlier this year. I will settle for that. That is fine.
No,
through gritted teeth.
It's called picking your battles, and this is one battle that I don't really have a hill to die on. So. But no, we got a lot to get to on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. Damn it, Big 12. I'm so mad. And I knew it. I knew that this was going to happen. I knew it. We will talk Big 12 coming up today because the Big 12 football schedules have been released for the next 3 years, and they can't figure it out. Absolutely can't figure it out. And I don't understand why.
I sat at a computer and made it a better version in 5 minutes. Like I fixed it just sitting.
Yeah, you know how to do it, Dan? It's called pods. Really simple.
Not even that.
No, it's really simple.
Not even that.
Yeah, like I'm so frustrated.
I can do it without pods.
The question was going to be, how do you make it work outside of the protected rivalries? That was going to be the problem because you can very easily, Dan came up with one for 2 protected rivalries for everyone. We talked about one on the show yesterday afternoon where you could very easily regionally make it 3 for everybody.
Yeah.
Easily.
Yeah. That's the pod system. That's the pod system.
The problem was making that work with 9 conference games, which part of me says it's pretty much proof, especially with a 12-team playoff. Your strength of schedule does not matter. Like, we're about to find out next year when, like, I don't know, name any old Big Ten program. Like, Ole Miss is going to make the playoff next year and be like, they played the worst schedule in America. Yeah, no one cares. College basketball teams are finding that out, right?
Yeah.
Self said that at media day. He's like, hey, we're going to change the way we schedule because it's not going to matter much non-conference anymore. Like, the Big 12 should have just said, screw it. Let's go back to 8 conference games because no one cares.
Yeah.
No one cares.
We'll get to that coming up in the 4 o'clock hour. We'll hear from Andy Reid. He spoke to the media today. We will get to a lot. It is our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week. When you win a state championship. And not only that, when you dominate in the state championship, we will, our high school athletes of the week are the Seaman Lady Vikes volleyball team who won the state championship. Congratulations to them. So we got a lot to get to. Hit us up on our text line, 785-272-9429. Outside of Topeka, 785-272-9429. We want to get your takes today. You can check us out on YouTube. Go to youtube.com, type in 580 Sports Talk. Let us know. It's really simple, real easy to get in touch with us. You can check us out on our stream. Go to our website, 580www.com. So much to get to today. First question I've got for you. Chiefs take on the Miami Dolphins. The Miami Dolphins are the best offense in the history of the game, apparently. They are. They're the best passing offense. They're the best running offense. They score a ton of points. They're tremendous. They got speed everywhere. But I want to ask you something. To me, what makes that offense go is their running game. Their running game is what sets everything up. And if you look at what they didn't do against Buffalo and what they didn't do against the Eagles was they didn't get the running game going. Some of that was because the Eagles jumped out early, took the lead, and a lot like what Andy Reid does is when you trail, you get in panic mode and you just start getting away from who you are, which is a credit. That's kind of like, getting punched in the mouth. Everybody's got a plan until you get punched in the mouth. Well, you get punched in the mouth, then you get away from that plan. And the Eagles then turned them into a passing team. The defensive line got after Tua, didn't have as much success. They basically had one big play to Tyreek Hill when he outran everybody. And that's going to happen coming up. I hate to break it to you, Chiefs fans, but Tyreek Hill's probably going to catch about a 60-yard touchdown. The question is, don't let him do it multiple times. And same thing. That's what the Buffalo Bills did. And the opposite side of that is they got up early. The offense scored early. The Eagles got up. The Bills got up, turned them into a one-dimensional team. So that's kind of twofold. But my question here is their running game, if their running game is good, they will gash you. And they will run it, and they will run it, and they will get big chunk plays because they got speed. They got speed. I know Achane is not there, but they still got Mostert. They can still go. How concerned are we with what you saw Sunday, the running game for the Broncos? Now, I understand, Dan, you made a good point. It's only 3.8 yards per carry, and I understand that. But they ran it 40 damn times. And you run it 40 times, and you're Miami, you're going to pop one of those or two of those or three of those. There's no Nick Bolton. If Nick Bolton were playing in the game against the Broncos, would they have run it as well? And if the answer is no, I'm not concerned about that because there's just 3.8 yards per carry. But I wonder how much no Nick Bolton is going to factor into the game on Sunday against Miami because their run game is so good. He is a run-stuffing machine, and we know he's not great in the pass, but, man, a part of me does, and I think Drew Tranquill is good. He's just got a different skill set than Nick Bolton. But that's what Nick Bolton is very good at. He is a run stuffer. He knows what's going on. He's fast enough and he's strong enough to get to the sideline. Like a lot of people think that, oh, he's just north and south. He's good at, running down the line, seeing it, and then making the tackle at the numbers, even though he's a bigger guy. The pass is not his strength, but are you concerned with the running game of the Dolphins, considering how good it can be if they're not trailing? Because if they're not trailing, they are going to run it, and they are going to run it, and then you get sucked up a little bit, just like everyone says, and it's going to maybe open up the pass. I do wonder how this run defense is going to handle the Dolphins if they get it going.
I would argue, it would help to have Bolton out there. You want your best 53 available. You want your best 11 out there at any given time, and Bolton is part of that. There's no doubt. But I feel like if the defensive line plays well enough, and if the other linebackers at least play well enough, you're not going to feel him missing all that much, if that makes sense. Like if you go back and you look at those two games you mentioned, the two best teams the Dolphins have played, name me an Eagle linebacker. And that's my point. If your defensive line is going to play well, Chris Jones has always been a mediocre run defender and excellent against the pass.
So are you saying that it was the D line didn't do well against the Broncos?
I'm saying it doesn't have to be one specific piece or one specific position.
I do think a lot of people around the team, a lot of people who observe the team thought that the defensive line for the Chiefs got out-efforted a little bit. Not that they got out-schemed. They got out-efforted against the Denver Broncos. I don't believe that's going to happen 2 weeks in a row. I don't know that, and the numbers would suggest that it's not an elite run-stuffing unit that the Chiefs have up front, but I would expect a better effort from them, and they are going to be, I think, and Brendan, I think this is the point you're driving at, they're going to be the most important factor as to whether or not the Chiefs are able to limit the Dolphins' run game. And another factor in this, I think, and one that I think helps the Chiefs is I think their defensive backs are really good in run support. I think the Chiefs have about two of the best tackling cornerbacks in football in L'Jarius Sneed and Trent McDuffie. And when you watch the Dolphins, a lot of their home run plays in the ground game are to the perimeter. And a lot of one-on-one situations where Raheem Mostert or Achane, when he's healthy, just beat the defensive back one-on-one. Chiefs defensive backs are a little less apt, I think, to get beaten in those situations. So their play in run support, I think, is going to be extremely important. It's not ideal not to have Nick Bolton, but I think that is an impact that can be made up for by improved play in the trenches and the run support capabilities that the Chiefs have on the perimeter, which is where the Dolphins running game is really at its best.
Like, I look at a guy like Justin Reid in this game, and I think he is going to be just as important as anyone else for that exact reason, because you'll need to get north-south defending the run, but you've also got to get there, diagonal angles getting to the sideline because of that wide zone scheme that Miami runs. So I think the outside running, and it's not like every play is going to be a toss sweep for Miami or anything like that, but I do think you're going to end up with a lot of outside the lines kind of runs for Miami, and that's why that defensive backfield is going to have to be especially good in this game. By the way, and I think this is something to note, the Broncos this past week, they as a team ran mostly inside. They ran mostly inside the box. Now, and I've got these numbers from Pro Football Focus. They ran off tackle right. In fact, not even off tackle, but off end right. So you're talking about having a tight end in there more than any other direction. They only ran off the left end one time the entire game. They ran a bunch in between the tackles, in between the guards, right off the center shoulder. That's where they ran the ball most of the time. Miami is going to spread you out a little bit more. They're not going to run a sweep every single play, but they are going to try to stretch you around the edges a little bit more. And again, that's not to say that Nick Bolton can't do that. He can't support in that way, because he can, and he's only gotten better over the course of his career. But it is a different kind of matchup than you are going to get with the Broncos, because they just have a different approach. Javonte Williams is a different kind of running back than Raheem Mostert. Mostert is often a, foot in the ground, jump cut, get upfield with speed kind of guy. Williams is a good athlete, but he'll also hammer you. He's a bigger dude than anyone Miami is going to run the ball with. So I again, and Dan said this, and I know I prefaced with this, you would prefer to have Nick Bolton out there, but I don't think that by not having him, it's game over and you're going to be, in trouble the whole game. By the way, for what it's worth, the game the Bills played against Miami, most of this was Devon Achane, and he's not going to run for over 12 yards a carry every game. But as a team, Miami ran for 7.5 yards a carry in that game. Now, they got creative with it because they ran a couple of jet sweeps.
They also, the best way to take the running game, take that club out of the bag, is to take a lead.
Yeah, and that's what I'm saying. The best defense is a good offense, right? The best defense is a good offense. The way that they've been beaten is their defense, which against the Eagles, I almost want to throw that game out the window, but and the reason why is they didn't have Howard and they didn't have Jalen Ramsey. That is a huge difference. I mean, that would be like if the Chiefs didn't have L'Jarius Sneed or Trent McDuffie. How are the Chiefs defense going to do? And who went off when the Eagles played the Dolphins? Who went off? A.J. Brown. A.J. Brown was a monster. Devonta Smith was a monster. They were really good. Well, it's because they didn't have Xavier Howard and Jalen Ramsey. If I'm the Dolphins, I put Jalen Ramsey on Travis Kelce.
They very well might.
That's what I would do.
The Broncos had Patrick Surtain on Kelce.
That's what I would do. I'd say I would force. I'd put Jalen Ramsey on Travis Kelce, and then also put a safety on him and say, hey, Rashee Rice, don't drop a ball. Hey, Sky Moore, we don't really need to cover you. Hey, MVS, is this the one game that you're going to go off? Hey, Justin Watson, will the Chiefs actually put you out on the field, or are they still going to put out, Sky Moore? Hey, McCole Hartman. Hey, Kadarius Toney, beat me. Hey, Isaiah Pacheco, you could probably beat us, but we don't think your coach is going to actually give you the football. The best way to beat the Dolphins is to score. Because the Dolphins defense, without Jalen Ramsey, without Xavier Howard, can get got. Because what was, Tutupa? No.
Kohu?
Yeah, Kohu. Yeah. Kohu, he got embarrassed. And, I mean, that'd be like me trying to guard, A.J. Brown. I wouldn't do a very good job either. But I am more worried about this game, one, because of how healthy the Dolphins are getting. And right now, the Chiefs, for the first time in Patrick Mahomes' starting career, the Chiefs offense right now looks to be human. It does not look like it is, got the superpowers. Through 8 weeks, it's never looked like this. Have we had games like this? Yes. The Titans game, no question, right? The Colts game last year, no question.
Mm-hmm.
But that was a little different to me because prior to that, the Chiefs offense was much better leading into that. Now, maybe this was the eye-opening game. Maybe this is it. Maybe you got this game. Focus is a lot more there. Then you get the bye week, a little self-scouting, the bye week, then you come back home and then it becomes a little bit different. That's kind of what you're hoping for.
Let me counter that perception of the Chiefs offense through 8 weeks. If I told you there was an offense in the NFL that was second in the league in yards per drive, fourth in the league in both yards per play and points per drive and points added per dropback, fifth in the league in expected points added per play, sixth in the league in touchdowns per drive, seventh in the league in overall success rate, would you say that was still an elite offense?
Yeah, because it's all in the top 5.
Because that's the Chiefs. That's the Chiefs through 6 weeks, or through 8 weeks. The bar is so high for them that this feels ordinary, when in reality, this is still, by just about every analytical measure, a top 5 offense, clearly a top 5 offense in the league. Now, there have been problems. They haven't been great in the red zone. They're turning the ball over too much.
I think the red zone there is the biggest issue because maybe from the 20 to the 20, their numbers are so good, but when you look at points, it's completely different.
And there have been a couple of games where, maybe some different fourth down decisions should have been made, and we think differently about the Chiefs if they finished some drives with touchdowns instead of field goals. They'd be putting up maybe some prettier raw numbers, but particularly in a year where offense is down all over the league and red zone success is down all over the league, this is still an offense capable of heights that are not matched by too many teams in the league. The big question is, what's it look like when they go up against one that is? Because they are going up against one that is, and it's at a neutral site halfway across the world, which sets you up for all kinds of other factors to come into play. It's a very hard game to prognosticate because of all of those factors.
If I may ask a question, where do you think Patrick Mahomes ranks among all NFL quarterbacks in red zone touchdown passes this year?
Red zone touchdown passes?
Red zone touchdown passes.
I would bet probably in the bottom 10.
Yeah, I'd say low.
He hasn't hardly thrown any.
Give me a number.
21st.
30th.
Tied for first. No player in the NFL has more touchdown passes in the red zone than Patrick Mahomes. 2 have the same number.
Dang, I went with the high one, Dan. It was either going to be 30th or I was going to say second because Brendan didn't ask that question unless he
But no, like, you think anecdotally, like, man, this team is struggling mightily in the red zone, but it is. That's the illustration, is you have to look at it relative to what the rest of the league is doing. And for so long, the Chiefs offense was such a cheat code that it didn't matter what the rest of the league was doing. It was eons ahead of everybody else.
In fact, inside the 10, so goal to go situations, no one has more. No one. He is first in the league in touchdown passes.
Man.
13 TDs, 1 pick in the red zone this year for Patrick Mahomes. Now, that doesn't absolve them of having any issues in the red zone. I have the rushing numbers in the red zone right now for the Kansas City Chiefs. You know what those are? Really bad.
Not awesome.
Extremely bad. As a group, they've got, and I got to do some quick back of the napkin math here, somewhere in the neighborhood of like 70 rushing yards on all of their red zone possessions the entire year, which seems dumb. That's usually when you would give the ball to, I don't know, a guy like Isaiah Pacheco. But I think it is important to know what Dan just said. Offense is down everywhere around the NFL.
The Chiefs are hardly the only team that is struggling to finish drives, struggling to produce points. That is a league-wide trend this year. And some of that can be explained by, we have, I think, had more rookie quarterbacks already start games this year than we have in any season since, I want to say, 2017. But at the same time, it's also, and we've discussed this as the season has gone on, there are some schematic things that defenses are doing differently across the league, and it's just made it harder for everyone.
Mm-hmm.
So, like I said, The Chiefs, first couple of years with Mahomes, when they had Tyreek Hill peak of his powers, Travis Kelce peak of his powers, that was such an outlier that it really didn't matter what else anybody else was doing. They were going to go get theirs. Now, instead of being the outlier offense, they are merely an extremely good offense in a down year for offense. And so that's why it feels different. And it is true to say that it hasn't been as good as it's been in previous years, even when accounting for the strength of defense across the league. It is fair to point to Patrick Mahomes and say he has not played an MVP level this year, which he has done pretty much nonstop since he came into the league. He's merely been a top 5 quarterback in the league. Jordan Foote talked about this yesterday. We had Jordan Foote on. He says, instead of being the number 1 quarterback, the undisputed champ, he's probably played like a top 5 quarterback in the league, which is still awesome. You'd still rather have that guy than not, but that's why it feels different. But the numbers still suggest this is not an offense that is just lost in the wilderness. It's probably closer to being an offense that, with a tweak or two, with some better game theory decisions on fourth down, with some better turnover/fumble luck, could end up with the best offensive numbers in the league by the end of the season.
The Dolphins are getting healthier. We'll factor that. We will get to some of the news there with the Dolphins. We'll get to our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week. We got a lot more to get to here on this edition of 580 Sports Talk. One of the biggest players literally and figuratively for the Miami Dolphins, might be playing in the game. If you ask anybody who watches the Dolphins, you could say that their most important player probably is Tyreek Hill, right? We asked Matt Verderam, if Tyreek Hill keeps doing what he's doing, he might get MVP votes, right? He's got the most receiving yards through 8 games in the history of the NFL. He's been an absolute buzzsaw. But if you ask them what's the second most important guy outside of the quarterback, because, if Skylar Thompson's back there, they're probably not going to do as well. I'm outside the quarterback. It would be left tackle Terron Armstead. And Mike McDaniel said that they're opening his 21-day practice window because he was on IR. He can play Sunday. That's a big deal. Because if he's there, that is the safety blanket for Tua.
Oh, yeah.
That's a big deal.
They're a different offense with him than they are without him. And they're pretty good with they're decent without him. Like, they can be very good without him. With him, very good is kind of like the floor. And their ceiling is a lot higher when you've got the front side protector back. I was going to say blind side, but Tua's left-handed.
Should have multiple pieces of their offensive line back, or potentially getting back, because their center, Connor Williams, is also practicing after missing 2 straight games. They need their offensive line to be good. Mm-hmm. I mean, every team does, but that offense, the way it's predicated on those quick throws, not allowing guys to get in the backfield and knock down a pass or hit Tua immediately is obviously very important.
I am so ready for this. If the Chiefs lose on Sunday, are you ready for the Chiefs should have gone down earlier? Because the Dolphins are in Germany right now.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they're there.
Mm-hmm.
They're drinking steins of water right now.
Have some bratwurst.
And the Chiefs are leaving Thursday. Like, McDaniel, I thought that was funny because I saw the press conferences today. That one of the funny things was that he said, "I know what you guys are thinking. I'm bigger in person." You're right. He's got kind of a funny sense of humor.
He's very funny,
to be honest with you. That's gonna happen. I hope you're ready for that. If the Chiefs lose, well, the Chiefs should have gone down earlier, gotten acclimated to.
You don't have to wait for anything. I don't care if they win; they should have gone down already. I'm already there.
I said that yesterday or Monday.
I am team. They should have left Monday. I am on that side of the ledger, if you will.
There's just so much crap that comes with playing an international game. I think it's foolish that team and
the people brought up. Well, you guys, handled Mexico City well. It's the same damn time zone.
Look at a map. Look at a map. Well, and it's nice that you get the bye week after to collect yourself. Okay, sure, that's a plus. But players hate international games. Hate them. Because a lot of it is, I traveled all this way.
The majority of them do not like them.
Yes, I would say a majority for sure.
Yeah.
I think it makes more sense to give you more time to acclimate as opposed to walk through day, long trip across the world, practice, go. I think it makes a lot more sense to give you extra time to acclimate, even beyond jet lag. There's more that comes with it I think you need to be prepared for.
No, I'm with you. But the Dolphins are already there, and the Chiefs are not, and that always ends up being a huge talking point to the team that loses.
Bills lost in England, or no, was it the Jags? The Jags played back-to-back games in England. Yeah. They lost their first one. They spent another week over there. They played a tougher team the second game, and they won.
No, they won them both.
The Jags?
Yeah, they beat the Falcons over there.
It was more so that
okay. You're right.
It was more so that the Jags had a full week and the Bills showed up 2 days before.
I'm getting my narratives mixed up. I apologize. But they played a better team in the Bills, and they ended up winning that game. The Bills looked really slow. Jaguars didn't have to go through that acclimation period. The point I was trying to make, and again, my apologies for getting my narratives crossed here. The Jaguars and the Falcons, the Jags did not look good. They won that game. They did not look good in that game. Nobody did. Everyone looked like crap in that game. That's what the Falcons are. Not crap, but just they don't look pretty. Well, yeah, Desmond Ritter. Yeah. But against the Bills, they looked a whole lot better, a whole lot more crisp.
Yeah. So
that's the point I was making.
Get ready for that coming up on Monday. And we will not be part of that group. We will be part of that group going, they should have done that.
Told you so.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we will. We will.
We'll get there. We'll be there first. We're not gonna be late to the party. We'll say it right now.
Yeah.
I think it's unanimous in this.
I would have gone down early.
Behind these microphones that the Chiefs should be there already, and the fact that they're not is, I mean, not going to make it impossible for them to win. Doesn't mean the betting line should jump the fence or anything, but I think they would have served themselves, done themselves a better service if they were there right now.
Yeah, you land in Kansas City Sunday evening, 8 o'clock, 9 o'clock, and then you board a flight Monday at noon. There you go. That's what I would have done. This has been Travel Talk with 580 Sports Talk. Coming up next, our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week, the Seaman volleyball team.
Time for our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week here on 580 Sports Talk. And we've got quite a treat because another week and another team of state champions are featured on the show today. And for the first time in school history, it is the Seaman girls volleyball team who rolled their way through the 5A state volleyball tournament this past weekend in Salina at the Tony's Pizza Event Center. Just an incredible showing, and to pick up a win over a St. Thomas Aquinas team in the final that, in the words of their head coach, Tatiana Dowling, had crushed Seaman just a little bit earlier on in the month. But to come back to roll over them in the final and to do it with just two seniors on the roster, a really impressive run for the Seaman Lady Vikings. So I got to run down their head coach, Tatiana Dowling, this week to talk about this team, this program, what the win meant, and so much more. So without further ado, let's get to our Lewis Toyota High School female athletes of the week, our athletes of the week in general, the Seaman girls volleyball team, 5A state champions, and their head coach, Tatiana Dowling. Our Lewis Toyota High School athletes of the week for this final week of October into the first week of November, the Seaman girls volleyball team, state champions in Class 5A for the first time in program history. And to talk all about this championship run for the Lady Vikes, their head coach, Tatiana Dowling, joining us here on 580 Sports Talk. I should also mention the United Kansas Conference Coach of the Year, Tatiana Dowling, as well. Tatiana, first of all, congratulations to you, to your program, to your players, an unbelievable achievement. Take me back to what Saturday was like, that championship match against St. Thomas Aquinas, a team that has dominated girls volleyball in the state for a long time, who you guys took on not all that long ago before you got to state. What was that like on Saturday coming away with that title?
Oh my gosh. It was absolutely incredible. I love the way that our girls came together. I love the way that they played so hard and they worked so hard, and that they were just so determined to take that game from them. I think that they came in with the best mindset, especially after getting smacked by Aquinas like 3 weeks prior. And they came in with all the confidence, and it was just really awesome to see them all come together that way.
Obviously, there is so much joy and a sense of accomplishment that comes with this. But after, like you said, having a tough outing against Aquinas just a few weeks back, and then throw in the fact that you guys have had so much success but have ended up in fourth place each of the previous 2 years, was there almost a sense of relief for your girls and for you to come away with the title this time around?
Yeah, I think so a little bit. But the biggest thing is that I think that all of those like minor setbacks and not quite accomplishing the ultimate goal made them so hungry, and they were so determined this whole entire season. And so no matter what the setback, if you will, was, they were determined to bounce back from it and learn from it, and then to take it to the next level at the state tournament. And so I felt like they really did that, which was awesome.
Is that something you could tell from this group from the very end of last season into this year, that they had that hunger, that they were just dying to get back to state and to finally get this title? Or is that something that maybe started to bubble up as the season went on?
I think there were some ups and downs for sure. I think at the beginning of the summer, they were really hungry. They came into the gym and they were super excited to be there. They worked hard all summer. We went to the Washburn team camp at the end of the summer, and they won it. And so I felt like at the end of the summer, they were like at a really high peak. And then we went into season, and I felt like that was still carrying over a little bit. But then we had some ups and downs with different lineups and different success or lack of success throughout the season against certain teams. And then I felt like in the last 2.5 to 3 weeks, they really turned it on again. We had talked about how one of our goals was to host sub-state. And going into our last 10 games in the last week of season, we needed to win at least 9 of them to host. And it was like one of our toughest weeks of season by far, as far as the teams that we were playing. And they did it. And so I feel like that drive and determination kind of started to kick in, especially at the end. And then it just carried over through the postseason.
We're chatting with Tatiana Dowling, head coach of the Seaman girls volleyball program, the state champions in Class 5A. The Lady Vikes are our Lewis Toyota High School athletes of the week for this week. Seaman obviously has such a proud athletic tradition, and you guys, during your tenure and historically, so much success on the volleyball court in particular. But how does it feel to know that this is the group that got the program's first ever state championship in volleyball?
It feels great. I mean, a lot of these kids have been on varsity since their freshman year. We have super talented senior class, a super talented junior class, and then we have a couple of younger classmen with the sophomores and freshmen. But predominantly, the seniors and juniors have played since their freshman year. And so they've been to the state tournament those 3 times before, and they saw us coming up short. And so I feel like with those teams before, they really understood the meaning behind going to state and how important it is and how exciting it is. And that helped give them the experience that they needed to then be able to take advantage their junior and senior years.
With these girls having played together for so long, what is their chemistry like? Because I think different groups, they kind of mesh together differently. Some, they get on the court together and it's just 110% intensity all the time. For some, maybe it's almost a more relaxed environment, both off the court and on it. What is that chemistry and that group relationship like with your team?
Well, I think it is it's been different throughout the year. And so we have some kids that are, super funny and go lucky. We have some kids that are super intense. And then we have some who are just like the heart and soul of the team. And they are just excited all the time. And they're always bringing people up. And I think that you need a little bit of all of that, because you need the people who are going to be intense and hold their teammates accountable. And then you need the funny people who are going to provide the laughs. And you need, the person who is going to be the positive one that brings them all back together after they get ripped in a timeout or whatever it might be. And so I think that we have a little bit of each of those pieces, and that helps create the chemistry that we needed, especially in the state tournament. And I felt like they really came together in those moments. So it was great.
Obviously, team success is the ultimate goal and the thing that everybody, they put their individual efforts in, and that's what you build to, is the team greatness and the team trophies and all of that. But when you look back on the performance for your individuals this season, and when your team gets to look back on their performances and you see the all-league mentions this year, 2 first-teamers from Seaman, 2 second-teamers, 2 honorable mentions, offensive player of the year, coach of the year, when you see all that honors as a head coach, what does that say to you about your group?
Oh man, I tell them all, I'm like, I think you all deserve to be mentioned. So I'm like, I want to nominate every single one of you every single time. I want to celebrate you. But it means a lot, because I think it just goes to show that there's so many contributing parts. It's not just one person. Yeah, we might go to Megan Mills for most of our swings, but it's not just going to be her. It's going to be our middles that step up. It's going to be our DSs and our libero that play really hard defense and give us the pass that we need to be able to settle those people. It's going to be our setters that make the diving plays. And so I think that having so much recognition for so many different pieces of it, even though I wish it could be all of them, shows just how much of a team they truly were this year.
Our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week, they are the Seaman girls volleyball team, the 5A state champions this year, picked up a win in the championship match over St. Thomas Aquinas in Salina at the Tony's Pizza Event Center this past Saturday. This roster in particular, and you've got a lot of experience, you've got a lot of young players as well who were such big contributors this year. Tell me a little bit about some of this group, and especially the upperclassmen who have been through the ringer, who have been through these tough moments in the state tournament before, who have seen getting close to the top of the mountain and now have finally achieved it. What stands out to you about this group, maybe relative to some of the other rosters you've had in the past?
I think that this year, especially our 2 seniors, were absolutely tremendous leaders for us. They push the girls, they hold the girls accountable, they lead by example on and off the floor. I feel like they're willing to go above and beyond for their team every single time. And they're willing to also take the back seat and let other people shine when they need to, if that's what's in the best interest for the team. So I think that those 2 as leaders, they really held everyone accountable and just worked so hard. And it's nice to see that for their senior year, we were able to bring it home for them in addition for everybody. I also think that our junior class, obviously, they have been huge leaders for us. We've had most of them on our roster since their freshman season. And so I think coming together and knowing they have another year next year, but they wanted it this year for those seniors. And I think that that's something super special too, to want to accomplish that for your teammates. So it's been awesome to see the senior and junior leadership. And I feel like that's just going to carry on into the younger classmen that we have as well.
When you look back, Tatiana, on this season, from camp to the very start of it, all the way through this championship run, was there a moment at any point when you felt like this is the one that's going to get it done? Or maybe it popped into your mind that this team really has a chance to bring home that trophy this year?
I said it to them their very first day of summer. I said, you guys have something so special. You're such a talented group. You've played together for so long. You guys can really get it done this year. You just have to believe. You've got to buy in. You've got to put in the work. But we can win the state championship. And they were like, yeah, we can do it. And everyone was kind of on the same page. And then I think that carried over into our season. And there were some lulls in the middle where we weren't really playing together very well. And then we kind of hopped back on the train and came back together that last week of season and then through sub-state and state. And I think that they really started to believe it themselves and believe in themselves in those last 10 games of our regular season. So it was awesome to see them truly start to like take hold and wrap their minds around it and believe that they could do it.
The last thing that I've got for you, Tatiana, is when you look back on the state tournament and that weekend in Salina to the very last moment when that final point was scored, and we've all seen the video at this point of everybody getting in the dog pile there on your guys' half of the court. Is there one memory from this run that you think when you look back on this 1, 5, 10 years from now, one landmark moment that you'll look back on and will stick in your mind more than anything else?
I think honestly, and I've said this to this player already, but one of my favorite memories from state, not that I didn't love them winning it and doing it all as a team, but was actually with one of our seniors, Taylon Stahlbomber. And we were talking a lot. Well, she gets a lot of crap about her height, and Taylon's so athletic and she's such a great athlete, but we were talking about it with her block on the right side because Aquinas had such dominant outsides. And I said, that in this timeout right before we went up to get game point, I said, they're going to come for you in the front row and they're going to want to hit on your side because they think that you're a short block. And she looked at me dead in the eyes and she said, I'll get the block. And I said, I will be the loudest person cheering for you when you do. And we go out there and sure enough, Aquinas sets their outside and Taylon blocks that girl twice to give us game point. And she turned and she pointed over at the bench and I pointed back. And that was one of my very favorite moments of the whole tournament, just because I felt like she had the confidence in that moment. She had been through 4 years of sweat and tears and hard work. And for her to have that kind of confidence going into the final point, knowing that they were trying to expose a weakness that really isn't a weakness for us, I loved getting to see that out of her. So that was one of my favorites.
Well, what a run through the state tournament and what a season it was for Coach Tatiana Dowling and the Seaman Vikings, the 5A state champions in volleyball for 2023. And they are our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week. Tatiana, thank you so much for joining us to talk about your program, your team in this championship run. Congrats to you and the girls, and enjoy celebrating as you get ready for next season.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
That is Tatiana Dowling, the head coach of the Seaman Lady Vikings volleyball team, our Lewis Toyota High School Athletes of the Week after their first ever state championship in girls volleyball. So congratulations to the Vikings. And they're going to be dang good again next year, too, because the Offensive Player of the Year in their conference and almost their entire roster all coming back for another year. So congrats to them.
I want to go to the text line real quick about leaving early and staying. There's an advantage to sleeping in your own bed for 3 days. Hotel beds are trash, and any bump, bruise, or recovery gadget give the team that waits an advantage. And I would normally say that if it's Dan, myself, or Brendan, but this is a billion-dollar company, and they are not staying at the Motel 6. They are staying at
they're not in Dare Econolodge.
Yeah, they're not. Yeah, this is Tom Bodell, and I'm going to leave the light on for you. I
think there's some truth to
there
that.
Is some truth. I don't want to poke fun here because I just know that they got their chartered flights. They might even have the sleeping beds. That this is not a commercial flight. They are taking the best of the best there. They get everything there.
Not in the Spruce Goose.
I mean, they're not in the Days Inn that we stayed at in Fort Worth on the way to San Antonio.
Oh my
Burleson,
God.
Texas.
Disgusting.
That was not
I had to
a good
sleep
one.
on top of the bed.
That was not good. That was not good. I do see
That height of bed had seen some things.
Man. That might have been the worst hotel I've ever seen.
Yeah, it was gross.
Yeah,
it was disgusting.
It's bottom 3 for me, probably.
Yeah. But I do agree. Staying in your bed it's more comfortable, but I think getting yourself adjusted outweighs the more comfortableness, if you will.
I would agree with that.
That's all.
I would agree with that.
I would like the travel budget that the Chiefs have.
When I went to Frankfurt when I was in college, I stayed at a hostel. The part of town those hostels are in, I'll tell you this, they need chaperones. They're women of the night nearby. Let's leave it at that.
Coming up next, we're going to hear from Andy Reid. Hour number 2, 580 Sports Talk, coming to you on November 1st. I cannot believe it's November, man. It is November 1st. Incredible. We're going to talk a little hoops. Hoops. Basketball should not be starting on November 1st. I firmly believe that. We'll get into that maybe a little bit.
I mean,
later.
technically, it's not starting. Technically.
It's already started.
Not the regular season. So, technically not.
I mean, technically, it's on the schedule.
Yeah, but
College. Ooh.
November, December.
No. You got to start with practice. October.
Okay, October, November, December, January, February, March. I don't know, 6 months.
That's longer than any other season.
August, September, October, November, December.
Most people are done in December.
Yeah.
Basketball's a grind, man. You have to run a lot.
You do. Yeah.
You do.
I'm not a fan of running right now.
Well, I was never a fan of running,
Yeah.
ever in my life.
I didn't mind running when I was younger.
That was all. I mean, I was a pitcher, so they didn't really. You know, you didn't go take batting practice or infield practice.
No, you ran.
Yeah, you throw and then you run. We don't know what to do with you. Go run. All right.
Yeah, what are you going to do? You just did a bullpen yesterday. You can't do anything today.
Yeah. A little long toss and some running.
Go run. Get that core.
Let your arm hang. Get that lactic acid going.
So we got a little hoops talk. We will get to one got to go as well. Hopefully everyone had a fantastic Halloween. Good news for you guys. Speaking of, it's November 1st, but good news and bad news. What do you want first?
Bad. Always bad.
I forgot to bring the candy.
But the good news is,
Man, you guys are getting a ton of candy. We don't need this much candy in our house.
you know,
All right.
Which is not a good thing for a diabetic over there. I'm sorry.
I got insulin.
we had a
I keep that thing on.
I keep that on me.
we had a lower number than
Oh my God. I
anticipated.
bet we had 100 trick-or-treaters.
We had a lower number. We got rid of, you know, at one point I came to my wife who was staying out of view, as we talked about yesterday. And I said, you know, we've got, you know, I'm trying to give away the Whoppers. We got a lot more Whoppers in this thing than we do Kit Kats because I've been eating the Kit Kats all month. But also, we're already out of Reese's. Like, that happened really fast. And Abby said, no, I pulled a bunch of the Reese's for us. I said, that's good thinking. That's why I love you,
we
babe.
got so much candy. I'll tell you this. My wife and I made the experiment, but also then with all the knowledge that we gained, we came to this conclusion. People need to give out more gummy candies. The reason why is most people give out chocolate. So at our house, we got the big giant bag, multiple bags, and my wife she gave away Fun Dip this year. Like the actual Fun Dip, which
Okay.
we let them pick, right?
Mhm.
We are not a, dictatorship of candy at our house, right? We went out there. It was a little cold. We went, to about 15, our neighbors' houses with our kids, did the whole trick or treat thing. Then we came back home because my son likes to give out the candy. He likes to see everybody.
Yeah,
and
sure.
it's really cool, actually. Kind of makes me sweet because he cares about other people. Anyways, we said just hold the bowl and say take as many, take a couple. And man, they went after the Fun Dip. Went straight after the Fun Dip, and then after that, they grabbed nothing but gummy candy.
Interesting.
Note to self, mark it down for next year. Everybody gives away the Reese's, the Kit Kats,
Mhm.
that type of thing.
Okay.
I do have one got to go with you because there were 4 candies that I found in my son's candy dish. That the hell are you thinking out there, folks? It's going to be in one got to go.
Okay.
Right now, though, we're going to hear from Big Red. Andy
Yeah, we
Reid
are.
spoke to the media today. He seemed actually in a good mood. He smiled a lot. I don't know. Maybe it's because he's going to get some brats. I don't know.
I'm sure he'll eat well.
Going to get a good hot dog over there. I don't know.
Knockwurst.
Yeah, I don't think they're going to get just regular old hot dogs, if I had to guess.
I bet you a hot dog over there is better than a hot dog here. Or is that not true? I don't know. You looked at me like, Jake, dude,
because I know as soon as I say I've actually eaten a hot dog in Frankfurt, Germany, you'd go, oh, well, guess what?
No, I can't do that.
We're going to Europe.
No. I can't say that anymore. I cannot say that anymore. When you called me out with like, well, your ass has been to South Africa. It's like, it's a good point. I got no idea. You've been to Africa. I can't say that to you anymore, Brendan. I can't. Now that I've gone to another continent, I can't say that to you.
I'm the non-cosmopolitan in the room.
Yes. I can't say that to you, Brendan. So you can say when I had a hot dog in Frankfurt, it tasted like crap.
It was quite good. It was very good.
I think everything over there probably tastes better.
It was delightful.
Are you a kraut guy?
Very sparingly. Like, I can take a little.
Yeah.
Or were you?
You're a kraut guy? I can't get over the smell.
Yeah, it has to be here and there. Like a real good sausage with sauerkraut every now and again. Sure, absolutely. Like good sausage on a bed of sauerkraut, I can get down with that. But like, am I actively going to seek out? Like, am I going to put sauerkraut on my hot dog? No,
I can't do. I can't get past the smell. I can't.
Yeah, my dad likes kraut.
Can't do it.
Big fan of sauerkraut.
My dad, brother. I don't think my mom does. I don't think Lindsay does either. She doesn't like many vegetables.
All right. I had to go find this on my Facebook page. I went to a place in Frankfurt and I don't know, I could read the sign. So I was like, okay, I'm eating here because I can read it. Lo and behold, I'm looking around. It was supposed to be like, oh, look, we're American. Look at these American things we have. There was a statue of Brett Favre on the wall.
And you were sold.
And I was. I took a picture.
At that time, you were like,
I got to have it. I'm looking at it right now.
Got to do it.
Also, I made in a comment earlier about how if they stayed near where I stayed when I was there, they'd have to have someone chaperoning the players. I also came across a picture of when the door right outside of where I stayed was to a hotel called Sex Inn.
Nice.
What it's called.
What was the nightly rate?
All of your shame.
I was hoping he'd be like 38 francs.
It was also.
I mean, wait, I don't know.
It was also right next to a XXX shop.
Where were you staying at?
The hostel district is in the red light district, and I'm going to tell you something. At 20 years old, I didn't have a whole lot of money, so we weren't exactly staying in the Westin. Okay, we had to stay where we could afford.
I got some change here.
Pretty much, yeah.
What can I get for 3 American pennies?
Yeah, really though.
Hey, if you were in like, is it low-key, one of the funniest movies is Euro Trip. You ever seen Euro Trip?
Oh God,
yeah.
It's the dumbest movie I've ever seen more than once.
It's hysterical though. Gosh, it's so
That's
funny.
A great caveat.
It is so funny. But when they go to Bratislava, when they go to the Eastern Bloc, they got like, I got 10 cents, and the guy's like, I'm retiring. The exchange rate in the Eastern Bloc. Fantastic.
If you're watching the YouTube, by the way, I'm going to post this picture that I just found across my Facebook. And now you two can look at it as well. It is literally just Sex Inn.
Holy cow.
Next to the XXX shop. I slept right next door.
Oh my gosh, that's amazing.
Yeah. That's Europe for you, man. It's different.
Eugene Robinson unavailable for comment.
That is. Oh man, that's pretty good. All right,
that's where Greg Anthony stays.
Enough. I could mention a few others, but I'm not going to. Coming up, let's hear from Andy Reid. What does he got to say? What do we got here? Let's hear from Big Red.
All right. As far as the injuries go, Jarek McKinnon, we're going to hold him out. He's got a sore groin. He's been kind of battling the last couple of weeks. And then Willie Gay with a low back contusion. So he won't practice today. Getting better, just won't practice today. Look forward to the challenge of playing the Dolphins. A real good football team, well coached, and good players. To add to the business side of it, Richie James his window has been open, so he can practice. And we'll just see how that goes. But anyways, back to the Dolphins, good football team, and look forward to that challenge. Look forward to going to Germany to play, and it's a unique situation. So, anyways, with that, time's yours.
Andy, how's Pat doing? Not just the flu, but the hand also.
Yeah, well, he's doing better. It's getting better, healing up. more contusions and scratches, cuts than anything.
Lou is gone.
Lou's gone.
Is Willie Gay candidate to go on IR?
No, I don't think so, but we'll see. I don't want to give you a yay or a nay, but he's making progress right now, which is a good thing. So I don't think it's that though.
In terms of your wide receivers, what are you looking for over the second half of the season in terms of improvement from those guys?
Yeah. So listen, I mean, we're going to be okay there. We just keep getting better all the way along. It's not just a wide receiver thing; it's all of us. So. A week ago, we were saying how good they did. So we just keep the consistency going on the offensive side is what we need to do all the way around, not just wide receivers.
Andy, in Travis's podcast, he alluded to guys who are running wrong routes, guys not making blocks, guys dropping the football. It's been frustrating. Have you felt the frustration, kind of the way Travis was alluding to his podcast?
Yeah, well, listen, when you don't play well, I think all the guys were frustrated, and that's what's going to help make us better. So, you got to work through it, and that's what we're doing.
You guys had Tyree for so long, and he did so many special things for you. Did you ever have anyone really figure out a way to stop him that you guys faced, and just talk about the challenge of what you guys have in front of you with him specifically in their entire life?
Yeah, listen, I mean, he's a great player. I mean, that's the bottom line. And, you might slow him down, but he was going to make plays somewhere. So, and that's what makes him the player he is. He's got speed, quickness, and he's smart. Yeah.
You see any differences in his game now from when you watch him on tape from when he was here?
No, he's pretty good.
Coach, I know when you have drops and you have turnovers, it's tough to get real deep on the play card, right? That slows you down. But only 8 carries for Isaiah Pacheco. I know you touched on this a little bit, but did you have an idea that you'd be able to run more? Would you have liked to have gotten more of the run in, or?
I think you kind of hit it. The rhythm of it, I think, allows you to do that as you go, and the numbers end up being better than what they were. On the other side of it, they've threw it only 19 times there. And, that those things happen depending on the rhythm, turnovers. And, that was an unusual thing for us to turn the ball over like that. 3 in the first half, that's a tough deal.
Just to follow up real quick. I know you want to get better everywhere, but are you satisfied with the run blocking? I mean, is the line, I know you got 2 new tackles. I mean, is that still a work in progress? I mean, are you optimistic they can block the run better?
Sir, the thing I could give you is just all the way along, all of us on that side of the football, more consistent. That's what we need. So we've got some good things that we're doing, putting up a lot of yards and so on, and but getting into the end zone becomes important. Not turning the ball over, the basic fundamentals. We've got to take care of that, and so it's my responsibility to get that done. And we're working on it. We'll try to get ourselves better this week.
Coach, we'll get Sky in a second here. I know year 2 can be tough for any player in the league. What maybe has held him back, and what gives you confidence that he's going to be productive by the end of the season?
Yeah, Sky's doing well. We're rotating a lot of guys in there, so opportunities. I mentioned about the one throw. I think you guys probably all get that on your computers there, but you get that arm yanked down, it ends up being a one-arm catch. So, he took a lot of heat for that. But I for the most part, this guy's doing a heck of a job for us. So just keep him growing.
Coach, how important is routine trying to find some normalcy this week when obviously it's been an unusual situation going to Germany?
Yeah. So it's a road game. That's how you look at it, a long road game. So you got to travel a little bit. With that, you try as much as you can to keep the guys in routine. And with the help of all the people in the organization, we have that about down to where they can do that. With the exception that they've got to get some rest on that plane. So, and it's a nice big plane, comfy little things. They can do their thing there. So, that's but you try to do that the best you can. We do the same thing on the road, try to do it, keep it consistent.
When you've gone over years past, what are some of the things that surprised you that you had to deal with you didn't expect? It's things you learn.
Yeah, it's noise. It's like the Super Bowl that way. It's constant noise. So it's not for one team or the other team. It's just, and it's normally loud. It's not just a buzz. So, and you listen to the soccer match that they have, and it's loud. It's very, very similar to that. So you've got to, you got to make sure you're aware of that before you get there. We've done everything. We've had people visit over there to check the fields and the hotels and all those things. So, and the people have been great from Germany on their hospitality with that. So, we look forward to getting over there and just kind of settling in. I think as humans, we all like to get a little settled in, and so we'll do that with the couple days that we have.
You guys have a little practice over there and some meeting with the media on Friday. Will your routine that you have on a Friday here, do you have to do other things that maybe aren't what you normally do?
We'll have the same practice. Yeah, we'll have the same practice schedule. And meetings before that. So try to keep that. It's just a little later in the day. And then there's some media obligations that a few of the guys are going to do. They get to work with some kids there. And those are all things they like to do and what they do in our community here. So, yeah.
Do you get to be normal, though?
Yeah, well, you might be the first person that called me normal, so I'll take that as a compliment. For the most part, yeah.
But you guys brought Darius Harris back. Just how can he help you over the next couple games here?
Yeah, well, I mean, he was a good football player, and he can help on special teams. He knows the defense, so that part's good. Yeah.
Couple more guys.
You mentioned scouting the site, and they've got a hybrid surface there in the field. How do you feel as far as comfort level and being able to get situated?
Yeah, so actually we had that when I was in Philadelphia, where they inject the artificial turf within the grass, and it worked fine. So, that's football's huge here for us. Soccer's real big there, and they make sure those fields are nice. And so I don't think it'll be a problem at all. Yeah.
Is practicing that constant soccer crowd noise, is that something that y'all have to practice on?
Well, we do the music here. Yeah, so we'll just keep it rolling for both sides.
Last two.
Coach, are you a guy that can sleep on a plane? I mean, are you going to be up working? Going to London, I've stayed up for a while and then slept for a little bit. Yeah, I'm good with that though, as long as I can fit in the chair.
Last one. Sprechen Sie Deutsch, ja or nein?
Yeah. I'm actually a quarter German, believe it or not, but I'm not sure what quarter though.
Oh,
Andy Reid is everyone's dad.
No, fantastic. Fantastic. If I had the money, I would go on this trip. Like, I think this would be awesome. Watching your team play in Germany at what soccer stadium are they playing? Are they Bayern Munich or are they?
No, they're in
Frankfurt.
Frankfurt.
They're in Frankfurt. Duh.
Eintracht Frankfurt is the big club there. The stadium is called Deutsche Bank Park.
Oh yeah, okay, yeah, that makes sense.
So
now. Deutsche Bank Park,
just like America, it's named for the big company.
I would totally go to this game. This would be awesome.
Yeah, it's gonna be cool. It's gonna be a really cool environment.
That would be so much fun to play with. And to play at.
Real quick, while I'm bringing up old stories from when I went to Frankfurt, I think I've shared this one before. Also, not a good look for me at all. We went to a fair, or like this huge fair going on, like rides and all sorts of stuff. I love carnival rides. I love them. Death traps, but I love them. So I went on one. My partner who I was with was like, nah, I'm not into this. I was like, fine, I will go on it alone. And it was
she didn't go with you?
Nah, she won't go with. I mean, she was there. Like, she
old girlfriend, right?
Yeah. And I just went on it alone. And it was sort of like a tilt-a-whirl, but sort of like one of those rides where like they've got the cars on the arm and like the octopus rides. It's kind of like a cross between the two. So the first go through, like there's a lot of spinning. It's pretty intense. Like, all right, cool. Well, then a voice comes over the ride in German, and it asks a question. I could tell from the rise of the voice at the end, and everyone goes, "Yeah!" And I was like, "What did they just ask?" Like, I have no idea what's about to happen. It reverses and just from a dead stop whips the other way. And as you know, men have certain things that hurt to sit on or crush.
You were not prepared for the reversal where everyone else was.
I was not prepared.
Yeah.
So I was not ready to brace myself.
Yep.
And that area has never been in more because, roller coasters have got the little thing that kind of sits between your legs. Yeah, I thought I was going to need a hospital. That was unpleasant.
I found out this summer that I can still do roller coasters.
Yeah.
I found out this
We
summer.
went to Dollywood.
Yeah, by the way, awesome place.
I bet.
Really fun.
Did you see Dolly?
Did not. I saw a drone show. Have you ever seen a drone show?
I've seen videos of them.
Yeah,
like as a replacement for fireworks?
Yeah.
Yeah, I've seen video.
I am fully on board with drone shows over fireworks.
Less noise.
It was awesome.
Yeah.
It was so cool.
Yeah.
Anywho, cannot do the spinny stuff. No.
No.
Nope.
Like a tilt-a-whirl or something?
I used to be able to. No, sir. Spinny stuff out of here. Roller coasters. I'm on board.
Like a scrambler you couldn't do anymore?
Sounds terrible. Yeah. No, I can't do that. No
Oh, man, those are fun.
Coming up next, we got One Gotta Go, and then we'll talk a little hoops tonight.
Can you imagine your therapist telling you that?
The last part, very easy to.
Well, yeah, that part.
Yeah.
Is
All
that the
right.
first 20 minutes or?
All right. One gotta go. All right. 4 candies that I found in my son and daughter's candy dish.
Had drugs in them.
They did not.
Razor blades.
Where is the Fent?
No, they did not. All righty. Had these 4. Okay. Baked Cheetos, trail mix, Charleston Chews, Dots.
That was pretty cool. You went to a house that was
One gotta go.
still existing in 1894 to get a Charleston Chew. That's cool.
One gotta go.
Charleston Chew out of here.
Who is doing that? I have somebody in our neighborhood who's in. First of all, trail mix, perfectly fine. You want to know why?
There's candy in it.
No, because trail mix is great for an adult. That's dad tax right there. I'm taking that first and foremost. Okay.
Yeah.
Give me the trail mix. Baked Cheetos.
No, that's my pick. There was a moment.
Charleston Chew. You're gonna choose Charleston Chew over baked Cheetos.
I'm not eating either one.
But I said one gotta go.
I'm keeping the Charleston Chew.
You're ridiculous.
Because then at the very least I can be like, hey, look, I robbed a museum. Look what I took.
What flavor was the Charleston Chew?
They have multiple flavors.
The generic yellow kind.
That's vanilla.
Just a bit of honeys are better than that. Charleston Chew.
I don't know. At least that's chocolate. I might change my mind and go with the baked Cheetos.
There's only one thing that's worse than that, and that's one of the cherry mash.
Actually,
get that out of here.
You know what? I'm gonna really go outside the box here. Were the trail mix like
the good kind?
Okay, but were they like in individual little snack bags, maybe tied with a ribbon, or were these like little packets that you could buy at the store?
Like a small sunflower seed bag.
Okay.
Yeah, that's good. That's quality.
Okay,
I got excited for that.
Because like if somebody just bought like an industrial sized bag of trail mix, was like reaching in and scooping out some for your kid, no, absolutely not.
Oh yeah, you. That is where I would not let my kids eat it.
You throw
it's
that away.
Be prepackaged.
You know, those all suck. Like, there's a compelling argument to
get. Trail mix is good. Like,
I don't like trail mix.
Trail mix has raisins.
I'll eat the raisin.
No, I'll eat trail mix, but like if you wanted to argue for get trail mix out of my face, don't give me anything that is raisin adjacent in my Halloween bag, I would respect that opinion. I would respect the opinion of Dots being garbage because they are extremely hard to eat. Even as a gummy candy aficionado, which I am, me and DK Metcalf, big gummy guys.
We know you're a gummy guy. You're from Colorado. We get it.
Not that kind. Dots are tough. Dots can be difficult.
Yeah, they're difficult.
But Charleston Chew. Did they travel back in time to buy their candy?
Like, where do people get these?
Charleston Chew, see? Like, that's what.
Where do you find these?
I don't know. I do not know.
For
what it's worth, I love Dots. Like, that is probably my favorite gummy
I like
candy.
Dots.
Love Dots.
I agree, though, that they are difficult to chew.
Yeah, especially for a little kid like you. That toothbrush experience not going to be fun that night.
Like, if you've got braces, nope, they're out.
Yeah.
Baked chips, baked bagged snacks had a moment in like 2010 where it was like, oh man, you tried baked Lay's. It's the future of chips. Now, anything baked sucks. Get this baked crap out of my face. Baked chips, baked Cheetos, baked beans. I don't care. Get it out of my face.
Wait a second.
I don't like beans, but you know, I'm over the top. But
I don't mind the baked Cheeto. I don't. The chips.
Stop trying to make a Cheeto healthy.
Chip's a chip.
It's like trying to make the healthy cigarette or trying to make football, quote unquote, safe. Nah, dude, it's not going to happen. Give me the garbage. Coat my insides with cheese dust. I don't care if it's baked. Give me the good stuff. Were they the crunchy or the puffed? Were they puffed and baked?
I don't even like
that's going straight to hell.
Yeah, I don't even like the regular Cheetos puffs. Don't bake a puff.
Don't like it. I don't like it. All right. For me, let's go with one gotta go. A preseason football game, a preseason college basketball game, a spring training game. One's gotta go.
Okay,
you gotta watch an exhibition.
Spring football.
We'll do the sports we cover.
Spring.
Well, no, like
preseason
preseason
basketball.
Preseason football.
There's only 3 then.
Yeah,
Yes.
I only got 3 because
Preseason
we don't cover
football-
any other sports.
Preseason football's out because
I'm with you.
I mean, with exhibition basketball, like what we're going to see tonight, like we're going to see a larger chunk of the players you want to see than you will see in any given preseason football game or spring training baseball game. And a spring training baseball game, you're in Florida or Arizona and it's 80 degrees in March.
And it's like spring, like
but if you're watching on TV, you might not be.
Yeah, no, I gotta
there.
go. Spring training just seems more fun than preseason football.
If you've never done a spring training trip, I cannot recommend it more highly. It really is a good time. Go see a couple of stadiums. Yeah,
just don't go to the Royals.
It's a great guys trip. Now, Surprise is a nice field.
Well, yeah, go watch the Rangers. They're going to win the World Series.
You could also watch the Royals. It's spring training.
Yeah, but the Royals, I'm so down on the Royals right now.
All right, one got to go. Bit of a spin on this. You have to hire. You are the owner / general manager of an NFL team, and you have to hire as your new head coach.
So this is, you choose one of the 4, not one got to go. It's
you're choosing one of the 4, and you've got to hire one of these 4 disgraced former Oakland / Los Angeles / Las Vegas Raiders head coaches. Josh McDaniels.
No.
John Gruden, Jack Del Rio, Dennis Allen. You got to hire one.
Oh, man. Strictly football, you go Del Rio.
Oh, man, I disagree.
I think you got to go Del Rio.
I think Del Rio lost his fastball like 3 jobs ago.
Well, let's first of all, you're not choosing
McDaniels. No, he's out.
By the way, we have mentioned this. I am sad that he got fired. I am sad. First of all, if you fire a coach 8 games through the season, what you should have fired him in the offseason. Just a waste of a year. So it can't be McDaniels. Gruden lost his fastball. Spider 2 wide banana ain't it no more. So those 2 are out. It comes down to Dennis Allen or Jack Del Rio. And Del Rio's at least had success in the NFL.
Dennis Allen, still actively a head coach. But I think people forget that because people aren't really paying attention to the Saints like that.
Would you rather have Dennis Allen or John Gruden? That's what it comes down to for me.
One of those guys can stand in front of a vast majority of his players and doesn't have to explain some emails he sent about a person who looks a lot like those players.
I think it's just it's totally passed him by. Like, yeah, maybe I would go. Maybe I'm going
Gruden. And the biggest,
you have to sell Gruden to your locker room, and I don't think that's possible. That's the reason he doesn't have a job anymore.
I think it's because he doesn't have a job anymore. I just think he's not any good.
Well, yeah, the results were not great.
Rich Bisaccia took him to the guy who should be the coach.
Hey, if they want him back, they can have him.
Was he that bad over there in Green Bay land? He's your special
teams coordinator and assistant head coach or associate head coach. Since he got that job title, our special teams have gotten worse. It's fine, though. It's fine. It's all good. It's fine.
Brendan goes with the dog meme where it's like on fire.
Yeah. Everything is fine.
I think I might hire Dennis Allen because
at least you know he can coach defense.
Yeah, John Gruden disgraced himself. Jack Del Rio.
He's lost. I think I'm going to change. I think I'm going Dennis Allen now because I don't think he's good, but it's the worst of the 4.
I don't know where Jack Del Rio was on January 6th, so that would concern me about whether or not to hire Jack Del Rio. And Josh McDaniels, man, we shall never see his like again.
If you eat a strawberry Charleston chew, you're on a list. I'm on the Charleston Chew Wikipedia. They're currently owned by Tootsie Roll, by the way.
Yeah.
Yeah. You can buy them in vanilla, chocolate, or strawberry. And at one point in time, there were also banana, grape, and cherry flavors. If I meet someone and they say, you know what I love? Strawberry Charleston Chew. You know what I'm doing? I'm calling the FBI. Instantly.
The candy was founded at such a time where the Charleston was a popular dance. That's why it has the name. They named it after a dance craze. That would be like, hey, let me get this Soulja Boy bar.
I bet that's heat.
I got a bag full of Millie Rocks.
One other, I just looked at.
If you like Charleston Chew, hit us up on the text line or the YouTube and defend yourself.
Are you a Toblerone guy?
I'll get down with the Toblerone.
Okay, those are fine.
Got one of those in the bag.
Nice. Wow.
Yeah.
How about that?
Yeah, they did get a Toblerone.
What was the most unique thing you guys got? Or
The
your kids?
Charleston Chew.
All right, fair. I remember getting them a couple times as kids. I figured they
Terrible.
weren't still around.
I haven't seen one in the flesh in years.
I threw it away. I was so mad at my neighbors or whoever it was. I hope they're
Threw
not,
it
I hope-
away.
I hope they're not listening.
It'd be really funny if they were.
I need you to be like I need you to be like Harry Doyle on Major League. Don't worry, nobody's listening. That's what I'm scared of. Our neighborhood is great though. Really, our neighborhood. Someone even had a little mini haunted house thing.
Nice. We had one of those in my neighborhood growing up.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Lawson did not want to go in.
So we have a full bar house in our neighborhood, and we had a youngster last night knock on our door, and gave him a handful of candy, and then he reached into his bag and he pulled out like a full size 2-cup Reese's peanut butter cup package, and he looks. It's the house right across the street from us and goes, "I really like that house." I'm like, "Yeah, man, that's clutch."
Hey, why don't you hop back over there and grab me one?
Dapped him up, wished him a happy Halloween. Like, hey, man,
Good
I'm
on
sorry.
ya.
We ain't got it like they got it. Like, I don't know what to
Good
tell
on
you.
ya.
Enjoy your Whoppers.
You want to know what my wife and I do for a living?
Good on you. Good on you. Oh my goodness. Britt Z,
Mr. Poppy Seed Bread and Vodka at the Super Bowl party. Britt Zweigert right here.
Britt Z of Classic Country 106.9 has just informed us that he likes Charleston Chews.
There you go, Britt. You put it on. You can see on the screen. Put up the sign.
Gross.
Oh, you can't.
Completely unreadable.
I like that.
Yeah.
Had I known, I would have thrown it away. I didn't think anybody liked him. You're out of your goodness.
I think
people from St. Francis. Am I right? Am I right? Coming up next, we're going to talk all things hoops for the first exhibition game. Well, I guess K-State KU's already played an exhibition game. Maybe they'll win this one. We'll get to that coming up next. find out about your coworkers. I now don't know if I can trust
Worked
you.
with Britt for over 6 years,
my
only to find out he's a Charleston chew eater.
and a cherry mash eater.
I don't even know what that is.
He's even talking about candies that I didn't even know existed. What was one of them that he said?
Oh, I know cherry mash. Oh, yeah, this is gross.
From the text line, black licorice should be illegal.
Oh, yeah, good take.
No, yeah, that
smells like
correct.
ass. Yeah, it's gross. I shouldn't have said that. It's gross, though. I Googled candy from the 1920s, and thankfully, our good friends at candydistrict.com had a ranking, top 10 candies. Like, number one, they've got O. Henry. No one under the age of 84 is eating an O. Henry.
Right now, correct. But I bet 1920, those were fire.
An Abba Zaba?
Yeah, that was really Britt's like, man, I love me an Abba Zab. I'm like, are you 83?
Chewy, taffy, and peanut butter. I don't know, man.
Britt only likes candy that costs 15 cents that he can buy in the waiting room before the follies.
You ready for this? There is only like the Venn diagram of people who are Britt's age, who like cherry mash, Abba Zaba, and the band dads are Brit. That's it. There's no other person in the entire world.
Abba Zaba is a
my
taffy
gosh.
bar with a peanut butter center. That sounds like it would remain in your teeth for 6 years.
For perpetuity.
Like you eat one of those and then go directly to the dentist.
God, Abba Zaba.
Some good things came from that era. Baby Ruth. That's a 1920s candy bar. I love Baby
I think
Ruth.
Baby Ruths are good.
They're delicious.
I have a texter from the 785 that informs us the O. Henry was invented right here in Kansas.
How about that? I did not know that.
I certainly did.
Is that texter 83 years old?
Wow.
I'm sorry, texter.
Hey,
please don't.
Hey, you don't have to be old to read Wikipedia.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Please don't
seriously.
hate me. Please don't. I'm sorry. That was inappropriate. I apologize.
So there were multiple versions.
That was mean. That
Okay.
was so mean. Guys, I'm sorry. I got to turn off my mic.
There are multiple versions of the O. Henry bar origin story. One says it was created by the Williamson Candy Company in Chicago. The most popular alternate story is that it was invented in Ark City. There's also a Canadian story. Why is there so much mystery? How do you have 3 different origin stories from wildly different parts of the continent?
For a candy bar. Yeah, that's pretty wild.
No, Henry. Come on.
I apologize. I'm so sorry, texter. That was inappropriate. Look, that's
Yeah,
That's
the
15.
texter says you're a bad Kansan if you don't like if you don't like the O. Henry.
Fully admit that. I'll fully admit. Let's get to some hoops tonight. Okay.
Did somebody say basketball?
Alrighty. I'm more interested in seeing Kansas State than I am KU.
I agree with that,
tonight.
actually. Yeah.
And many reasons why is one, there's going to be no Naquan Tomlin there.
Yeah.
And I want to see these young kids from K-State. I want to see the freshmen because this is a good freshman class. That is a game that I am interested or see. And you want to know who else I'm maybe most interested in? The big man. I want to see what big man Colbert has done in a year. He redshirted last year.
Yeah.
I remember when they played Washburn last year, and I'm like, my goodness, that man is huge. I want to see how he improves and how he plays. I don't really care about Kaluma. Don't really care about Tyler Perry.
Like you know what they are.
Exactly.
In that
I
sense.
want to see some of the younger guys. That's because KU's got everybody I know. I mean, hey, DeJuan Harris, the point guard. Oh, Hunter Dickinson, he's 7'3".
Kevin McCullough.
I know what
KJ,
McCullough's gonna
yeah.
do. I know what KJ Adams is gonna do. Heck, I even know what NSYNC guy Timberlake's gonna do. Like I understand what he's gonna do. Like KU is whatever. I want to see K-State. Like I think this is more interesting for K-State, to be honest with you, to see how they look.
I'm mostly interested in the Tomlinson aspect of it, or not the Tomlin, not Tomlin.
less?
Yeah, I don't know what I was trying to say. I'm talking about Naquan Tomlin. I'm more interested in seeing what they look like without him and who is going to have to fill into different roles. But yeah, I think that's a good point about the young guys and what they're able to do, how they're going to be used, because we're not going to see anything all that spicy from Jerome Tang and company in terms of game planning in this contest. That's not a knock at Emporia State. It is what it is in exhibition basketball. You don't see a whole lot of creativity like that. But I am curious to see how those guys are used, what kind of rotation it looks like. Here's another one for you. Over under 3.5 2-point field goal attempts by Tyler Perry.
He's gonna shoot a lot of threes this year, man. those games they were playing in Israel, he was shooting from way downtown. I think all he shot were 3-pointers.
In the final game, he took, I think, 4 twos, but the first 2 games he took nothing but threes.
Here, you ready for this? Good. You want to know why? Because according to Jerome Tang,
he's the best shooter in America.
Best shooter in America. If you shoot 40% from 3, and the year before you were one of the team's leading volume shooters, and you still shot 40%, and if you're a volume shooter shooting a lot of 3 or shooting a lot, that means they're not just jumpers, okay?
Mm-hmm.
They're not like Klay Thompson, okay? You ain't Klay Thompson, all right?
Yeah.
No, that means you're hand in the face, coming off a screen, pull-ups at the end of the shot clock, and you're still shooting 40%. Bro, you got the double green light.
Mm-hmm.
You feeling it? Let it go. Like, he's got that until he proves otherwise, until he's shooting 30%. No, let her fly. Tyler Perry, let her fly.
Yeah, I'm with you on that.
The fact that a point guard shoots 40% from 3 means that he's probably shooting threes at the buzzer of the shot clock a lot. And if you're still shooting 40%, it's a good effort. Real good effort.
Yeah, I'm with you on that. So I'm just curious to see how that all unfolds. As for KU tonight, I don't think there's anything especially interesting because you're right. I mean, we know what they are, but I do want to see how much Nick Timberlake is in the game, and I want to see how many threes he takes. He went 0 for 3 against Illinois. He needs to take 5+ every game because KU just doesn't have a whole lot of shooting. El Marco might be a better shooter as the year goes on. McCullough has been working on it, and if he can shoot, if McCullough can shoot 30% from 3 for the year, it changes things for KU because he's going to be really dang good this year.
You ready? McCullers, if he really, just personally for him, if he shoots 33, 34%, he'll play in the NBA.
Yeah.
Like, he's NBA body, NBA height, NBA athleticism.
His defense would play right now.
NBA defense, but he shoots it like Shaq. I mean, that was mean. Man, I'm another 15 there. That's poor. But that's what I'm saying. Like,
that's 2.
Am I out?
I think you're out.
No, they said
different penalties count for.
Yeah. One of them was unsportsmanlike. And one was a late hit.
Jake, real quick, which MIAA team do you expect to make a better showing tonight? Which one of these teams is supposed to be better? Emporia or Hayes?
Emporia, yeah.
Hayes was picked to finish 4th in the league, I think. I don't know where Emporia was picked.
Second or third?
I think they were 2nd or 3rd.
Yeah.
All right.
I think Emporia will be a little bit better.
I think
Emporia returns a lot more, I believe.
I think Washburn's back in the rotation next year. I think.
Yeah, it's every 4 years.
Yeah, I think they'll play KU next year.
But they are talking about adding a 3rd exhibition game.
Interesting.
Because of this purpose. Because most of the teams are doing the secret scrimmage.
Yeah.
So they're talking about instead of 2 exhibition games, you can do 3 exhibition games.
Interesting.
Because that would help out.
Yeah, I can see that.
When it comes to that. So there might be changing coming up in the next few years. Coming up, we will get to plenty more. We will hear from Tim Fitzgerald on all things K-State, but we will talk about the upcoming football schedule that sucks. number 3, 580 Sports Talk, coming to you on a Wednesday here on this November 1st. Jake Lamont, Brandon Orzinski, Dan Lucero with you. Thanks for stopping by. You can let us know your thoughts on old candy that is good, or the new candy if you wish. Give us a shout. You can let us know. Hit us up on our text line.
What is the new candy?
Nerd clusters.
Yeah.
Those are fire, man.
Abby bought some.
Those are so good.
She likes them a lot.
I'm a big fan of the nerds.
Okay. I was going to tell you guys.
Clusters.
I'm
yeah,
sure
they're
good
like
too.
on a gummy.
They're like
center.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
If gummy is the foundation, I'm in.
Yeah, well, it's nerds like on top of a gummy bear.
Hell yeah,
It's
like,
delicious.
Absolutely.
Like-
I'll go buy some tonight.
Yeah, they're good.
So last night I'm watching the NBA, right? I'm watching the Suns Spurs game.
I was like, why are you doing that?
I like
Wemby.
basketball. Yeah.
Did you see what he went as dressed as?
Slender Man.
No, the Thin Man.
Yeah, that was pretty
Slender
funny.
Man, Thin Man. Yeah.
But no, like
thesaurus there.
the NBA is my background noise for like 6
Oh,
months. That's
okay.
I'll throw it on. I'll watch if I want, just background noise or whatever. Reggie Miller's on. Reggie Miller is pretty bad on TV, but he starts talking yesterday about something that we brought up on the show, that I brought up on the show. He starts talking about seeing that video of the people in Canada who gave away 2-liter bottles of pop for Thanksgiving. He's like, that sounds awful. And he was going on and on about it. I thought, damn, I agree with Reggie Miller. Great take.
That is something I have never said out loud in my life.
Well, not until yesterday.
Oh, there's some things I like about Reggie Miller.
Confirmed watcher of the show on YouTube, Reggie
Yeah.
Miller.
Maybe that's where he heard about it.
Yeah.
580 Sports Talk.
Yeah, there's some things I like about Reggie.
I'm going down a rabbit hole now.
Great 3-point shooter. Everything on the court, he
Beat
was
the Knicks.
He was a bit of a grifter, but he also won War Awards with Spike Lee, which is very cool. Off the court, like, it's not a Reggie Miller broadcast unless I say shut up to Reggie Miller at some point, yelling at the TV. And usually there are some words in between shut and up that I can't say on the radio.
Yeah, ain't that true? I was just going to say, I've been now down a rabbit hole of looking at obscure candy and candy that people don't like.
Speaking of candy and Reggie Miller, remember the time he tried to nickname Kobe Bryant the Caramel Cat?
I don't.
I do not remember that.
Wow. That's bad. That is really, really awful.
Maybe the worst nickname I've ever heard.
Mary Jane's. I don't think that came up on the air. I think that came up when we were talking to Britt between hours.
Mary Jane's?
Yeah. They're like a hard peanut butter candy.
He probably likes Good and Plenty's too.
Good and Plenty's fine.
Gross.
They're fine. Biddo honey also came up. I'm pretty sure you said that you like
I'll
Biddo.
eat a bit of honey. That's like
gross.
That's like the one old candy that I'll eat.
Horrendous.
Like
Those
Biddo
little
honey.
strawberries, no. Awful.
What? Where do those are good?
Where do you
I like the little. I don't know where they get. They just magically show up in your grandma's like
The little strawberry joints?
Yeah,
I love those.
yeah, those are good.
Oh, no.
love
Yeah,
those.
those are good. Those
No.
are good.
Man, those are delicious.
Yeah. But no one knows where you get them. They just show
No, you
up.
get them at like a bulk. Like if you
Get
go
'em
to
at,
a store that has like bulk candy, that's where you can get them.
Yeah, they're good. I like those. They look like those are good. They got like the juicy middle part
Yeah,
of it. I like those.
I do. I'm a fan. My wife does not agree, but maybe that's my most controversial candy take. The little strawberry candy's actually good.
No, those are good. I think most people like those.
I'm glad I have one.
That's
one
a boo
kindred
for me.
spirit.
Yeah, I think those are all right.
That's a boo for
You
me.
want to know what's a boo for me?
Put that one on a T for you. What's a boo for you, Jake?
Conference expansion, realignment just changes everything, folks. I hate it. I hate it so much. I want K-State, Nebraska. I want KU, Missouri. I want Big 8 football. See, I should like old candy, right? Because apparently I'm a old fashioned,
Like
gallons of
don't like
gas
change.
cost like 89 cents type of guy.
Well, in fairness, who wouldn't like that?
But the Big 12 came out today with their future football schedule. It involves Arizona, Arizona State, Utah, Colorado. And for the most part, I'm okay with it. But And can it change? Sure. But I am still upset that K-State and Oklahoma did not play football this year. Like Big 12, that's terrible. That's awful. Do better, especially in the last year. Who cares about, scheduling, equality with opponents and all that kind of stuff? Like, no. The fact that K-State and Oklahoma did not play this year in football is the Big 12. You should be ashamed. Go sit in the corner. The fact that Iowa State is not going to come to Allen Fieldhouse to play basketball,
that sucks,
is an embarrassment. Go sit in the corner. That's terrible, okay? And now in 2027, I get it. Jake, it's 3 years away. Things can change. I understand that. I can. But for some reason, they couldn't figure out a way to protect games that have been played since World War I, okay? Since the Cleveland Spiders were in existence, okay?
I think they were the Cleveland Naps by then, actually.
Either way, point taken. K-State and KU are going to play all the time. Water's wet. Like, you couldn't have screwed that one up. But maybe they could have. Arizona State, going to play every year. Utah, BYU, going to play every year. TCU, Baylor, going to play every year. Okay, whatever. Iowa State and K-State, Iowa State and KU are not going to play each other every year. Now, they will play each other for 24, 25, and 26, but in 27, they're not. That's dumb. That's stupid. And you could easily factor, you could have made this happen. The pod system works. Dan has done his own scheduling with his piece of paper, or he did it on the computer in 5 minutes. And you still got everybody going to every place in 4 years and still kept K-State and Iowa. Do I need to see K-State and Cincinnati play each other 3 damn times in the next 4 years? No, I don't. I care about schools that have history. I don't hate change, but when you can keep certain things the way that Farmageddon not going to be played, that's ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, they really erred, and they're not the only league that is finding out that, boy, this is awfully unwieldy to have this many teams and this many teams with no previous relationship to each other. It makes it harder to schedule, but they are not the only league to have erred on the side of fewer protected games. And that seems silly to me. I would rather have to create a rivalry out of whole cloth, because you can do that. Like, if you're playing a team every year, then animosity will build up, and it will be a game that maybe it's not regionally meaningful. Maybe there's not like a traveling trophy that goes with the game. But if you, what's the saying? Familiarity breeds contempt, right? So I would rather the Big 12 have gone in the direction of more protected games than fewer. But they could have protected games for everybody. I went through it in 10 minutes, figured out a way, and I posted, it's on my Twitter account, at Dan Lucero Show. A very easy way that you could have protected 2 games for every team in the conference that would have made regional and historical sense. Like, for instance, you would have paired some teams up in 3s, like Kansas, Kansas State, and Iowa State. Pair them up. They play each other every year, like almost like a round robin. The East Coast schools, the schools on Eastern time, Cincinnati, West Virginia, UCF, they should be playing every year, every single year.
Not hard.
The old Southwest Conference schools
Not
in
hard.
Central and East Texas, BYU, TCU, Houston, play each other every year. So that leaves 6 schools or 7 schools left over, and then you do have to get a little creative.
The only school that's kind of left out in the cold is Oklahoma State.
Yeah,
That's it.
so like for Oklahoma State, though, you can give them Colorado,
Sure.
and
Big
you can give them Texas Tech, Big 12.
Cool.
So you get a mix of that. Colorado, give them Oklahoma State, but also give them Utah. Utah gets Colorado and BYU. Arizona gets Arizona State, obviously, but give them BYU. Give Arizona State Texas Tech. Or flip that around. I mean, yeah, Texas Tech kind of gets jobbed here a little bit because they're a Southwest Conference school too, but maybe we could find a way to lump them in and protect at least one of those old Southwest Conference rivalries instead of a Big 12 rivalry with Oklahoma State. But there was a way to do this where you make sure that you protect all of the ones that matter. And the ones that matter in this league, absolutely the Holy War, absolutely the Governor's Cup, absolutely the Territorial Cup in Arizona, absolutely. Sure, I'll even listen to the arguments for Baylor and TCU, but Colorado, Utah, the Rumble and the Rockies was becoming a nice little rivalry in the Pac-12. Nice in the sense that it was regionally, there was regional proximity. Utah was kind of kicking Colorado's behinds in that game every year, but hey, maybe that changes. Who knows? You could have protected that. You could have protected Farmageddon. You could have protected KU and Iowa State. You could have done more to protect games that have West Virginia, Cincinnati. Like, why is that not protected?
Yeah, honestly, next to K-State and Iowa State being upset that their game is no longer permanent, the fan base that should be the most PO'd about this is West Virginia, because and Cincinnati to a degree, because they have precisely one drivable game, like realistically 1 day drivable game on their schedule, and that is against each other, and that's not going to be played every year. Like, just for a fan base, that sucks.
Yeah.
Like, UCF is an outlier, but you knew they were an outlier regardless. West Virginia has been out on an island forever, as long as it's been in the league. That really blows for them, and I feel bad for them. The way to make this easier than anything would have been to just put them in groups of 4. You can have 4 groups of 4 very easily. We went over them yesterday, which would have included KU, K-State, Iowa State, and likely Colorado. And then, the BYU, Utah, Arizona State would be one. The old AAC schools plus West Virginia, and then everyone left in Texas and Oklahoma. Okay, so if you're Kansas State, right, and you're in your 4-team pod, you play each of the teams in your pod once a year.
Yep.
There's 3. You play the West Coast pod for 2 of them 1 year, 2 of them the next year. That's 5. 2 from the Texas pod on and off. That's 7. And then the East Coast pod, you play 2 1 year, 2 the next year, and
you get to go to and from every school in a 4-year period.
Yeah,
not hard.
And you play every school at least every other year.
Yes, not hard.
And you hit every single rivalry pretty much. It just doesn't make sense to me why you would do it like this. And I know the Big 12 said, we're not going to do the pod thing.
Why?
But why? Like, Brett Yormark
sense.
should be having a press conference today, because you should.
Yeah, I would love to hear some questions answered about this, because I have questions. I want to know why they protected fewer games instead of more games.
I'll be curious to know because we're Big 12ers, right? I mean, even Dan, you're a Big 12er because Colorado went, 96, right?
I grew up with the Big 8.
I'm a Big 8 guy, right? And so that makes no sense. Like K-State and Oklahoma. I'll be interested to know what Paul Meyerberg says tomorrow. He is a college football dude, but he's not a Big 12er. He's not a Big 8er. So does he think that doesn't really matter that Iowa State and K-State play, or that Cincinnati and West Virginia don't like does he, but the whole entire here ready? Rivalries and traditions don't matter anymore. Like, we threw that out the window when Missouri and Kansas didn't play each other anymore. When money mattered more than that. When K-State and Nebraska didn't matter anymore. When Oklahoma and Nebraska didn't matter anymore. Like, I'm not surprised. I'm not, because this is the reason why realignment money screwed up the history of the sport, but I still can complain about it. And I still think it's wrong. Like, that's what frustrates me the most. It really, really does, because this,
it just feels unnecessarily complicated.
Yeah.
And like, if you're going to protect 4 rivalries, why not just protect one for every school? And yeah, maybe you end up with like Texas Tech and Houston or whatever are protected.
Yeah,
like
Houston and UCF.
Like, that's not a real rivalry, but
over time.
Not like that's the first time that's ever happened. The The SEC for a decade was that everyone had a cross-divisional rival because you had things like Georgia-Auburn, or you had, Alabama-Tennessee, things that you couldn't get rid of while they were doing divisions. South Carolina was paired with Texas A&M for almost a decade. Like, those aren't rivals, but you can't please everyone, but you can please most everyone. And that's what you should have done. This just pisses people off.
Yeah, the minority ended up winning here. We had to appease the minority instead.
I don't think anybody's pleased. I think if you got to keep a long-term rivalry game, like if you're Utah BYU, hey, we get to play the Holy War every year. That's pretty cool. There are KU K-State people saying, hey, at least we get to play each other every year. Arizona State. Hey, we get to keep playing this game.
I would agree with that, except for like our texter. Y'all solved it. It's not hard. Yes, that's why the pod system worked. Okay, you don't want to do the pod system because you're anti-pod, whatever. Then Dan, you came up with an easy system.
Yeah, protect 2 games.
It's just not. That's what's
if you want the balance between variety and making sure you play as many of the other teams as possible, as often as possible, while still protecting games that matter to the fan bases, then protecting 2 games a year was the way to go. 100%.
The wording from the official press release says the scheduling model was developed with a priority on geography, historic matchups and rivalries, as well as competitive balance.
That's so
you
right off
the bat,
they're wrong.
You don't have K-State, Iowa State every year, which is historic and very competitive. And if you want to talk about geography,
you don't have Cincinnati and West Virginia playing,
which also have history.
I'm so mad right now. You ready for this? They're all playing. They all travel in private planes, guys. As long as UCF isn't going to BYU every damn year or vice versa, doesn't matter. Okay, doesn't matter. I need a Valium or whatever it is to calm down right now. I'm so mad.
Is that what that'll do?
I don't know. What is it? I need a what's
just ask for pills that start with V, and you'll eventually get one that works.
Valium, I think, works.
Is that
Vicodin's for pain?
Yeah, I don't need that.
Yeah, no, I'd be Valium, like Prince Valium in Spaceballs.
Either way. Coming up next, we got What Is Wrong With You, and we'll talk with Fitz.
It's the first day of the month, which means it's time to start a new week and a new full month of What Is Wrong With You here on 580 Sports Talk. The Wrong Man Waterboarding, our champion for the month of October. They were crowned, so to speak, yesterday on the show. We've got two new stories going head-to-head to lead off the month of November on What Is Wrong With You, which, as always, is sponsored by Top City Metal Supply. They cut the metal you need to your specifications, saving you time, money, and material. So never settle when it comes to your metal with Top City Metal Supply, located on South Topeka Boulevard, halfway between Frito-Lay and Forbes Field. I'm going to tell you right now, you got a better story than I do. I'm going to go first here, and it's going to be hard to beat Dan's story today because I saw it when I first woke up and thought, I should put this in What Is Wrong With You? And then I saw Dan already had. So I'm going to go first here to lead us into it. We are going to, and I got to make sure I know where we're going, Iowa. We're going to Iowa, where a man was accused of pleasuring himself at a Target. But when police apprehended him, he said, no, I wasn't actually touching myself. I literally had something else in my pocket.
Something else phallic.
Yeah. Despite that explanation, 25-year-old Deshaun Brown was busted for indecent exposure. Brown, who lives just a few blocks away from the Target in Iowa City, was caught on camera earlier this month, quote, touching his clothed genitalia as well as his exposed. Yeah, you can fill in the blank from there.
Come on, man.
The defendant, investigators stated, has prior incidents of the same behavior. He was sentenced to 2 years probation for indecent exposure and was actually placed on a registry in Iowa back in July. So the dude's got a problem with this. When questioned by police about his stroll through the Target, Brown reportedly claimed he had actually been engaged with a sex toy that was hidden inside of his shorts.
As one does.
However, the police noted that video evidence suggests the phallic object in his hand was indeed connected to him. It was not an aid.
Doing some tap dancing
around the
some real gymnastics to avoid saying what's actually happening here.
Charged with several misdemeanor indecent exposure counts, Brown was released from custody last night after posting $3,000 bond. He is also facing a probation violation related to that sentence from earlier in the year. Dude just really needs it all the time.
Has a compulsion for it, yeah.
Out in public. I would suggest therapy.
Yeah, that would be. Yeah,
that's what I would suggest.
Man. I gotta go to Target later tonight. Like, I'm gonna be thinking about this. Don't appreciate it.
No.
All right, for my story today, we're going back to Florida. Hey, remember last week where we had somebody pulling people over and when he shouldn't have been?
Yeah.
That was a Florida story. That was a last week Florida story. That was a winner. It was a semifinalist.
It was
on What Is Wrong. Well, we have somebody else in Florida pulling people over in a vehicle where he shouldn't be. And if you're watching on the YouTube stream, we've got pictures here, ladies and gentlemen. Let me introduce you to the Booty Patrol.
Yeah,
the Booty Patrol was on the run, but is no more because the Booty Patrol driver and vehicle have both been located by the DeSoto County Sheriff's Office. A traffic stop was conducted on Sunday. The driver was given a citation which pertains to certain lights prohibited.
Yeah.
It was last Monday when deputies first posted about the white Chevrolet Silverado who was reportedly impersonating law enforcement with red and blue flashing lights and paint on the back of the car that reads Booty Patrol. He was the Booty Patrol.
The guy involved here absolutely loves his FBI female body inspector t-shirt. Wears it every Saturday when he goes out.
The DeSoto County Sheriff's Office was reaching out to raise awareness about the vehicle equipped with red and blue lights that has been impersonating law enforcement, not just in DeSoto County, but in several other counties across Florida as well. Booty Patrol had no jurisdiction, apparently. Just pulling people off. It's a white truck. It's got some green paint and the words Booty Patrol on the bed, both sides of the bed and the tailgate as well. But he was caught. The DeSoto County Sheriff's Office wrote on Facebook, "We want to emphasize DCSO located the vehicle on Sunday. Our initial post aimed to raise awareness about this incident, ensuring that the public can avoid being duped by such individuals.
Dog, if you're getting duped by the booty patrol, you got bigger problems.
So, like, how does the booty patrol know who to pull over? Like,
I'm gonna need you to step out of the car.
Yeah.
All right, you can get back in your car.
I don't know how ass so fat you can see it from the front works when you're driving your vehicle. Like, I don't see how that.
It's case by case basis.
Yeah,
I guess.
like you're just is it trial and error for the booty patrol?
I would imagine so.
Like, what if I got pulled over by the booty patrol? Like, what if the booty patrol decided they were gonna pull me over? Like, number one, you can't handle this. Number two, it's probably not what you're really interested in the first place.
No, I mean, maybe. I don't know.
Yeah, different strokes for different folks. But yeah, the booty patrol, like, what compelled this person? I just have so many questions about the booty patrol.
They wanted booty.
Like, that's like a funny thing to like have on a shirt. Like, yeah, wear that to spring break. We're the booty patrol.
Yeah,
I'm sure it's like a really clever way to pick up like 19-year-old girls who are drinking underage at spring break,
pounding Zimas.
Yeah, people still drink Zima. People still drink Zima like that.
Maybe.
Been a long time since I've seen a Zima.
Remember when you got accused of drinking Zima like 6 months ago?
I do. Was it that long ago?
It was somewhat recently. Shout out to our guy Matt.
Yeah, I was accused of
being a Zima drinker.
I was accused of being a Zima drinker, and I don't know why. So, like, okay, yeah, funny to put on a t-shirt. Why you put it on your car? Like, to what end? And then you get the lights put on your car.
Listen, I have seen more and more in recent months and years the most ridiculous window clings or bumper stickers or whatever that I think, why would you advertise that you think this or you want? I'm not even talking about like political bumper stickers. I'm talking about, like, have you ever seen the one where the guy is on the letters IT and he's like humping it and it's supposed to be like, I can't say the word, but you get what I'm getting at.
Yes.
Like, why would you put that in your car? And maybe you have one on your car, and I'd love to know, why do you put that on your car? I wouldn't want to advertise that.
Yeah, like, I don't necessarily understand why people advertise the things they advertise.
Or like, Calvin urinating on like your least favorite sports team's logo.
Right.
Like, why? Why are you putting that on your car?
Just so against the spirit of everything Bill Watterson and that comic strip stood for, by the way. So just know that. Just know that's not licensed.
Courtney in the YouTube comments, thank you for checking out the show, Courtney. Thanks for hanging out with us. Just responds with, "Lol, booty patrol, LOL."
Yeah, like, it's funny.
It is funny.
But it stops being funny when you're pulling over strangers. Like,
do you feel bad if they're like, "No, we don't need to stop you"? Do you feel bad? Like, damn,
you pull somebody over.
I walk every day. I do squats.
Yeah, this is clearly a false alarm. Like, yeah, we have a texter from 785. Dan, I'm going to go on a limb here and say the booty patrol would not pull you over. Well, how do you know? You can't see me.
I'm staying out of this one.
But like, do you have to take like an entrance exam to join the booty patrol? Like what's that like? Like, what do the badges look like? What's the process of like the Booty Patrol Academy? Like, I just, so many questions.
The Academy.
The Booty Patrol Academy.
I think most people
Police Academy Booty Patrol. Definitely the lowest rated of the sequels on Rotten Tomatoes.
I would imagine more people go to a hub than an academy to prepare for this particular job.
Booty Patrol wins, right?
Oh, yeah, that wins.
Yeah.
Yeah, that wins. The other two pretty gross, but yeah, this one wins. That's a pretty easy one. A runaway winner, the Booty Patrol, winning our first What Is Wrong With You of the new week and of the new month here on 580 Sports Talk. What Is Wrong With You is brought to you by Top City Metal Supply. Metal cut to order when you need it. It's Top City Metal Supply on South Topeka Boulevard right here in the capital city. We're talking all things Kansas State Wildcats, football, and basketball on the other side of this break with Tim Fitzgerald. That's coming up here on 580 Sports Talk. Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com joining us here on 580 Sports Talk via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. You can go find all of Fitz's work at GoPowerCat.com. It's part of the 24/7 Sports Network. Go find him on Twitter as well at Life of Fitz. Real quick before we get to the football and basketball, Fitz, do you remember what that quote about being sticky is from?
I don't, and I hear it every time. I think it was about not eating ribs and wings with liking to eat ribs and wings with my fingers.
It was indeed about food. You and your wife had just come back from Hawaii, I believe it was, and you're talking about eating pineapple while driving.
Oh, well, you know what, kid? You shouldn't do that.
I believe you had mentioned everything got sticky. I mean, I agree.
Yeah.
I also would not want that all over my hands while driving.
Yep. Well, yeah, that's funny.
It gets me every single time. Tim Fitzgerald again covers the Kansas State Wildcats for GoPowerCat.com. A lot to get to. Some basketball for the Cats tonight coming up at Bramlage. We'll get to that in a little bit. First things first, though, Fitz, is anybody in the Big 12 playing better football right now than the Wildcats?
I don't think so. But again, we've said this all along. Teams can, fall backwards and fix themselves in the course of a week. We've seen it. We've seen K-State do it. So every week self-contained, you better go take care of business. And if there's any week to play your best football, it's this week, because that might be what it'll take for K-State to win this game, but they're capable of winning this game.
What is the biggest reason why, since that Oklahoma State game, K-State has been able to hit the gas and stay on it like they have? Howard is playing much better. I think that's obviously huge, even with the extra packages for Avery Johnson. The defense has been smothering, to say the least. Is it something more specific, something more general? It's not even a turnaround. K-State's been good all year, but why have they been so hot to this degree over the last 3 weeks?
Well, I think they've done a good job of refocusing themselves, not on the next game, but on the next day or the day they're in. They kind of were getting ahead of themselves and looking down the road, and instead of just worrying about Tuesday practice and Wednesday practice and taking all the steps that they've done in the past to get ready for games, I think they kind of fell off that. The other thing is, they were okay. They were better in the first half of that game with Texas Tech. But once they kind of went full to Avery Johnson at Tech, it woke the offense up, seemed to wake the defense up. So from the moment that they fell behind 21-17 in Lubbock midway through the third quarter, it's been 103-3. And that is unbelievable, because that involves the defense. But also Will Howard, I think, needs a little fire under him, needs a little competition to understand that he might lose his job. And lo and behold, he gets back on track and starts playing like he did last year. Defense is exceptional. Offensive line has been angry and getting it done, and now the quarterback play has really soared.
The offensive line in particular, I'm glad you brought them up, because going into the year, the NIL deals and the beef and all the hype, and obviously BB with the All-America attention and all of that, came into the year with all the hype, maybe didn't quite perform to expectation for the first few weeks of the season, but they have also ratcheted up their play to, as good as you could hope for of a degree in the last few weeks. Was it simply the fact that maybe they just needed to get a little bit refocused and maybe needed to get shaken to their core a little bit to gear up for this level of play?
Well, I think, once you had the injury, it caused some shuffling.
Mm-hmm.
And anytime you move Cooper Beebe out of that guard position, you're taking away an All-American guard and putting in a good tackle, but he's a better guard. So I think once they were able to kind of settle that tackle spot, and we saw some improvement there, they've really focused in on continuity and playing together, and now they have a little depth, and it's been impressive to watch how they've clicked.
Our guest is Tim Fitzgerald of GoPowerCat.com. He's joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline for our Wildcat Wrap-up, which we do every Wednesday at this time here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz and the gang cover the Cats at GoPowerCat.com, part of the 24/7 Sports Network. You can also find Fitz on Twitter at Life of Fitz. Chris Kleiman coach team has never beaten the Texas Longhorns, though I went back and looked. Last year's matchup was actually a lot closer than I remember it being. Texas jumped out to the big lead, but Kansas State clawed their way back in the game, actually outgained Texas on the night, and the turnover margin ended up being even by the end of the night, too. Kansas State had a last chance to go down and tie the game, and they weren't able to do it. But I don't think there's a gulf between these two teams. The Vegas line currently of 4.5 would seem to agree with that assessment. How do you evaluate this matchup in terms of, do you see a major advantage for Texas in any way, or do you see these two teams as being fairly evenly matched at present?
Well, I see a major, raw talent size advantage for Texas, but that doesn't always measure the football team. And I think these teams are a little bit closer. It's funny you brought that up last year. That felt like a 30-point Texas win, and that kind of emphasizes how demoralizing an effective run game can be, because they just ran the ball right through that K-State defense, and it was kind of shocking to see. I don't think we'll see that, but that's really a crucial part of this game is who can establish a run and keep the opposing defense on honest footing. And K-State's up against a brick wall defense. They've been really good stopping the run, but if they can find a way to achieve some balance in their offense, that'll go a long way. And of course, Texas, with the freshman quarterback, really needs its run game. So I think these two teams are pretty evenly matched. I think right now the advantage Texas holds, sadly, is in special teams, which makes a lot of K-Staters cringe, but they've been pretty effective in that area, while K-State's been solid, but they're just not getting anything out of the return game.
What does a Kansas State win look like? What would they have to do well or exceptionally to get out of Austin with a victory?
Well, first of all, defense can't give up explosives. They're going to have to make this Texas offense move down the field to score, because honestly, with this quarterback, Malik Murphy, I'm not sure he can perpetuate long drives against good defense, particularly one that show him pressure and make him move around and get rid of the ball. It'll be fascinating to see if K-State kind of loads up that box and says, try to run it, and we're going to try to pressure you. And if you have time to throw it, good luck. I don't think he's accurate enough, or at least he didn't show that in his game, to consistently be efficient. But if they can reel back the explosives, like I said, on the offense side of the ball, get some run game going, so those Texas linebackers and safeties still have to be aware of it. And then, let Will Howard operate. This is a game that Will Howard needs to be really good. And if he is, K-State really does have a fighting chance.
Switching gears to the scheduling for the Big 12 for the next 4 years, the conference put out the 4-year scheduling cycle, the rotation, and obviously the big headlines are only 4 protected matchups in the entire conference, of which Kansas State is one, and the end, at least for 1 year, 2027, of Farmageddon as an annual rivalry. They will not be scheduled to play K-State and Iowa State in 2027. What is your reaction to this, and what would you like to see the Big 12 do differently when it comes to approaching football scheduling?
I understand that, some long-time rivalries have come to an end because of realignment, but it's because teams change conferences. Why are they ending a long time, more than 100-year rivalry when the teams are still in the same conference? They've been in the same conference with each other for that entire time. I'm sick to my stomach. I'm not even that big a fan of Farmageddon, but I think this is trash scheduling for the conference. To only protect 4 in-state rivalries like that is sad. When they made a point of saying we're not doing pods, well, you should have. From what I've seen, you should have. You should have 3 protected regional games every damn year, and then every 4 years you play a home and away with everyone else. It's so easy, but no, they didn't do it that way. They just seemed to pick teams from a hat, and if someone can explain to me why Kansas State plays Cincinnati 3 times instead of playing Iowa State 4 times in that 4-year span and Cincinnati twice, none of it makes sense. It's silly. It's stupid. And I think the Big 12 really screwed this thing up. And I wouldn't be surprised if there's some serious pushback from some of the programs that this just doesn't make sense.
Fitz, on the Big 12's own website and on their press release for this, it reads, the scheduling model was developed with a priority on geography, historic matchups and rivalries, as well as a competitive balance. Well, let's do a little rundown here. Let's take some inventory. Historic matchups, well, they're throwing out Farmageddon, which has been played every single year since 1917. Geography. West Virginia fans and Cincinnati fans have one drivable, like regular length drive matchup in the whole conference, and that's not protected. So we're already 0 for 2. We don't need to dive in any further. Why even include that line? It's clearly not true.
This is my favorite part of it, is that there is one school that will play both the Utah schools and both the Arizona schools next year, and they wear black and gold, and they have a C in their name. But it's not Colorado. It's UCF.
Like what? Why even say this? It's clearly not true.
I believe that is correct.
Oh my God! See, what's absolutely amazing about this? By going to pods, you not only protect, and in this case, the unfortunate circumstance because they added 5 out west and no one out east. You got to move someone to the east, so that's probably Houston, which probably should have a protected game with UCF anyhow, but they don't. And move Oklahoma State out of a Big 8 pod and into the Texas pod, and you move Colorado in. So you play Colorado and Iowa State and Kansas every year. I'm behind that. I'm good with that. But then with the other pods, then you only play on the road once in the other pod, and someone from that pod comes to you every year. That's how a pod works. So if you're UCF, you're only going to go west once every season beyond the Central Time Zone. Once. And then they would come to you. Someone would come to you. It's insane. They didn't do anything they claimed to do when they made it so complicated and stupid when it could have been very easy. This is a mess. The Big 12 really screwed the pooch on this thing.
We're chatting with Tim Fitzgerald from GoPowerCat.com. It is the Wildcat Wrap-up here on 580 Sports Talk. Fitz joining us via the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits hotline. Go check out all of the great GoPowerCat team's work at GoPowerCat.com and 24/7 Sports. And you can go follow Fitz on Twitter at Life of Fitz is his handle there. Real quick note on basketball. A couple things, in fact, on basketball, Fitz. One, this Naquan Tomlin situation, I asked because I really just don't quite follow the punishment. And I understand what Jerome Tang said, like, hey, we don't know when he's going to return to the team. Maybe he won't. Like, there's a lot of things to figure out. We're here to help him get to a better place. Respect all of that. Understand all of that. But it felt, at least at first blush to me, like a suspension with that kind of wording from the head coach for just a fight was a little extreme. So is there maybe more to the fight we don't know about? Is there something else going on here? And I'm really not trying to antagonize Naquan or anyone. It just seems like a big punishment for what at the moment seems like maybe not a huge deal.
Well, keep in mind, he was coming off something else. We don't know what it is. They claimed it was something personal. We've heard it was maybe contact with an agent. We don't know. We can't get it sourced. But he had just rejoined the team and then did this. I know the bar well. It was our neighbor for 17 years. I know the owner well. He's a wonderful dude. I know this. They have security cameras all over that place. So there is film of it somewhere, and it must not be good. It must go beyond what the scope of a normal fight would be.
Okay.
I'm not sure he'll be back. Let's put it that way. I'm not sure they'll get this thing cleared up before Naquan decides I'll go play in Europe or something else. Because I'm not sure how quickly this can be cleared up. I just find it amazing that on a Saturday night in this town with a police force that is large per capita, one of the largest in the country per capita, there were only 2 arrests on a Saturday night after a football game where everyone is drunk. There was 2 arrests in town, and one of them was Naquan. And so, he did something that kind of jumped out, and I'm sure more details will come out eventually, and it may not be good for Naquan.
So with that in mind then, Fitz, but the expectation was, hey, he's going to be a major piece of this team. Well, with him not in attendance, at least for the time being, going into the exhibition game tonight with Emporia State, you're only going to get so much. There's going to be a lot of vanilla game planning. You're going to have K-State out-athleting Emporia State, and that's not a slight at the Hornets. It just is what it is. What are you most interested in seeing from this Cats team tonight?
I just kind of want to see this new offense and how it's set up. And, they've talked a lot about it. I think Naquan was a big part of it. So it's kind of interesting. But how they rotate now without him, because he would have been a 30 to 35 minute guy if he stayed out of foul trouble. So it is interesting. And plus, I just want to see the new guys. And beyond the top two guys, I kind of want to see all of the new players, the freshmen, and just see what the potential looks like. Because I'll be there to cover them next week in Las Vegas with Ryan Gilbert. And it's a shame we won't see the Cats at full force, but sometimes you have these things happen and you got to play through it.
One final thought about those top two you mentioned, talking about Tyler Perry, Arthur Kaluma. Over under 3.5 2-point field goals for Tyler Perry.
Oh boy. I haven't seen his game enough to really break that down, but it does seem like a bomber.
Yeah.
And I'm all in. I'm all in. So, he's going to be much different. He won't get to the end of the defense and break them down, I don't think, quite as much. So that's another thing. What does life after Marquise Noel look like to the program?
Yeah, I just remember those games in Israel. I think he took 4 twos over the course of 3 games total. So I'm assuming we're going to see a lot of triples from Tyler Perry over the course of the year. Tim Fitzgerald, he covers the Kansas State Wildcats along with his fantastic crew for GoPowerCat.com. Go check him out. Go be a VIP. It is absolutely 100% worth it. Make sure you're following Fitz on Twitter as well, at Life of Fitz. We always appreciate the time, Fitz. Thanks for hanging out with us. Enjoy the game tonight and enjoy, Vegas next week and the football this weekend.
Yep, I sure will. Thank you, boys.
That is the one and only Tim Fitzgerald joining us on the Fleming Place Wine and Spirits Hotline. Awesome stuff, as always, from Fitz talking about the Cats. We got 1 hour of 580 Sports Talk left. We'll get to that coming up after the news. 580 Sports Talk on this first day of the month of November. It's a Wednesday afternoon. Happy hump day. I'm Brendan Brzezinski. That's Dan Lucero. We're with you until 6 o'clock today. We got some K-State hoops coming up tonight. How about that?
Yeah, we do.
K-State Emporia State Exhibition Basketball, 6 o'clock pregame, 7 o'clock tip from Bramlage Coliseum. The Kansas Jayhawks will also be in action. I will be at that game coming up on 7 o'clock or at 7 o'clock tonight. So I'm dipping out of here right after the show goes off the air. So you'll see me. I might even get the jacket out. I brought the leather jacket today. Feels nice. It's a little colder than normal for the start of leather jacket season, but hey, it is what it is. So we will get to that. Some basketball, some final thoughts on that coming up at the end of the hour. We've got our headlines here, some wild stories from around the NFL. We were originally going to lead off this hour and lead off headlines with Josh McDaniels being fired by the Las Vegas Raiders. We're actually giving that an entire segment. We're going to bump that to about 20 minutes from right now. We're going to talk about Josh McDaniels because it's so funny, so predictable, and everything that has happened to the Raiders in the last 24 hours, so funny, so predictable, and also so embarrassing for a proud franchise. So we will get to all of that coming up in about 20 minutes. Don't worry, we've got plenty of thoughts, Dan and I do, about what's going on with Josh McDaniels, Dave Ziegler, and the Las Vegas Raiders. But we will, of course, get to our headlines, everything else going on in the sports world in just a moment. We would love to get your thoughts on anything we're talking about, either on the text line, 785-272-9429, or you can jump into the comment section on YouTube. 580 Sports Talk on YouTube is where you can go find us. With that, let's get to today's 580 Sports Talk headlines. We're going to start with the college football playoff rankings. We talked about it yesterday. We did a darn good job. I hit all 6 of the top 6 in the rankings.
Yeah,
I felt pretty good about that.
Yeah, you didn't even need to watch the show. You just could have listened to us, and you would have gotten it. And I was absolutely correct that Kansas, Oklahoma State, and Kansas State would be all ranked in a row.
Saw that. That was really good. All right, so let's start with our teams because this is cool. For the first time in the history of the college football playoff rankings, the Kansas Jayhawks are in number 21 in the CFP poll. First time ever that Kansas has done that. That is super cool for the program. I'm very happy for my alma mater. Now we are down to 5 teams in the Power 5 that have never made it at any point into the college football playoff rankings. Real quick, can you name them? 5 of them.
5 of them. Rutgers
is one.
Boston College?
No, they have made it.
Virginia?
They have as well. They had what was his name? Brennan Armstrong.
Yeah,
they had one year where he was. Yeah,
you're right. I knew one was Rutgers. Because they did them for 2020, and that makes it kind of weird.
Yeah,
there were a lot of teams that popped up in there. Cal
has never made it.
Arizona State
has been in. They made it under Herm.
Yeah.
That one year where they were actually really good.
I guess they would have. Yeah, Colorado would have been in it
in 16.
Yeah, Rutgers, Cal, no, Wake Forest has.
Yep. Different black and gold
Vanderbilt
team. Yep, Vanderbilt.
Vanderbilt. Kind of a default answer. Who are the other 2?
Maryland.
Yeah.
They come out in October.
Yeah, seriously. If they put them out in mid-September, they'd be top 25 every year.
And this one, which sounds surprising but really shouldn't be given their program history, Texas Tech.
Yeah, that's
right. Has never been in.
Team. Yeah.
Kind of surprising they didn't make it in at the end last year when they were playing really well, but yeah, they've never been in. So those are the only 5 in the Power 5 that have never been in. Now that KU is in. Number 22, as Dan mentioned, that is Oklahoma State. Number 23, Kansas State. You could certainly make an argument for Oklahoma State over KU, considering Oklahoma State beat KU. But KU is one of the best wins of anyone in the country. They're fresh off it. I get it. And again, same thing with Oklahoma State over K-State. They won head-to-head 3 weeks ago.
And like Oklahoma State might be higher if they didn't, lose to South Alabama. Do you know, by the way, do you know how many carries or how many times Ollie Gordon touched the ball in the South Alabama game?
Wasn't it like 3?
It was 5.
5 times.
He had 5 touches in that game.
So my question for Oklahoma State, and we'll get back to the rankings here in just a second. It took them a couple weeks. They finally settled on Bowman. It took them a couple weeks, and they realized Ollie Gordon is the best player on the whole team. What were they doing in fall camp?
I don't know.
Seriously, like what was going on in camp for it to not become clear that the 25-year-old starting quarterback and that dude at running back were your two best options at those spots. You had 6 weeks to figure it out.
Yeah, they were running 3 quarterbacks. Yeah, just go to the one. Like, I get Alan Bowman isn't exciting, but the floor is much more comfortable than the floor with the other guys because he doesn't turn the ball over. He doesn't throw it to the other team. So play the guy who doesn't throw it to the other team and let him hand the ball off to Ollie Gordon 20 times a game.
Yeah.
Pretty sustainable. Like, gosh, if they had beaten South Alabama, we'd be talking about them, I think, as maybe we'd be talking about them as the undisputed best team in the conference. That's the one performance that nags at you. Like, that's still in them, but they are such a different team from when that game happened.
Every Power 5 team with 1 loss or fewer is in the top 15 right now. Oklahoma State absolutely would be in the top 15 if not for that game against South Alabama.
I think so.
So the other rankings: Ohio State's number 1, Georgia 2, Michigan 3, Florida State 4. Those are your teams that would be in if the playoffs started today. Washington and Oregon, the first 2 out at 5 and 6. Not a surprise, Ohio State ahead of Michigan. Michigan, I think, is a better team. I don't think it's even close, in fact. But Ohio State is undefeated, and they have a better resume right now. They have better wins, is what it is. Not surprised, Georgia 2. Not really surprised by any of that. Texas 7, Bama 8, Oklahoma 9, Ole Miss 10. Quiet as it's kept, Ole Miss has actually been really good this year.
Yeah, Jackson Dart's having a great year.
Great year. Penn State 11, Missouri is 12th. Louisville 13th. That's your last Power 5 one-loss team. LSU checks in 14th. Notre Dame 15th. Your 16 through 20 teams: Oregon State, Tennessee, Utah, UCLA, USC is 20th. Nah, dude, we're good. We're good. We're good on the USC experiment. And then KU, Oklahoma State, K-State. Your final 2, your top 2 G5 programs: Tulane 24, Air Force 25.
I gotta understand why it is that Air Force isn't ranked above Tulane. Like, I know Tulane's only got 1 loss and it's to Ole Miss, but Air Force undefeated, man. The AP voters like them better. What's the college football playoff got on Air Force? Why do they hate the troops?
Honestly, and maybe this isn't fair because we're supposed to believe, these are the smartest minds in the sport and they watch every game and know all these resumes and whatnot. I bet you none of them have watched an Air Force game. But you know what everyone did watch? Tulane beat USC last year in the Cotton Bowl.
That's true.
And at first poll, I would imagine there is enough scrutiny after this. They will take a look. And the thing is, if Air Force goes undefeated, they're going to get the nod. They will get it.
I think so, too.
Which, for now, that'll be a fun battle, though. Those are both good teams.
You should watch Air Force. They're awesome. They play Army this week. They're gonna wrap up the Commander-in-Chief trophy this week.
Gonna paste them.
Yeah, Army may not score. Like, our Army will probably not score in what I call the competitive portion of the game. Like, maybe they score in the 4th quarter, but Air Force's defense is smothering.
Also, if you are someone who says, I hate option football, like I can't do it, this is not your traditional flex bone triple option. I mean, it's pretty much all the same concepts, but Air Force it's different. Like, you just got to watch it. It's a little bit different than that. Plus,
and
Larrier can actually throw.
Yeah, Zach Larrier's got a good arm, and every time they run a pass play, a guy is running wide open 10 yards down the field. It's pretty cool.
3 for 3, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. That's Air Force's passing game every week.
How you feel about the total 31.5 for Air Force Army? Service Academy unders.
Service Academy unders, but I think Air Force could score 32 on their own.
I kind of do too.
Army's bad.
Yeah, it feels like a 31-7 kind of game where the 7 comes in garbage time.
I kind of feel the same way. But those are your playoff rankings. By the way, on the G5, no Liberty. They did not make it in. But those are your top 25. Now, by the way, when you watch ESPN or Fox or whatever, and they have the little ranking number next to a team, it's the college football playoff ranking from here on out.
Correct. First headline for me, we're going to get to the overnight firing of Josh McDaniels.
Yes.
We are going to get to that because we need a broader canvas to discuss Josh McDaniels getting fired at 1 a.m. Eastern time last night, right as I was about to go to bed. Adam Schefter dropped that tweet that they had fired him and their general manager there in Vegas. So we're going to get there. But a couple of other NFL notes. 2 teams are making changes at starting quarterback for this coming week. One of them is the Las Vegas Raiders. Yeah. Interim coach Antonio Pierce had the job for roughly 10 minutes before deciding, I don't want to see Jimmy Garoppolo play no more, man. So it'll be.
Do you blame him?
No, I don't want to see Jimmy Garoppolo play no more.
Never again. Never again. I'm done.
Yeah, that Monday night performance was like an all-time, like,
it's
flush,
over.
Yeah, flush
just,
this man.
It has never been more over than it was after Monday night.
It's Garoppolo over.
Yeah, thank you.
Yes, that's what we were looking for. It's never been more Garoppolo over than it is now. Aiden O'Connell, the rookie out of Purdue, will get the start for the Raiders. And there was some anonymous sourcing in the NFL world today. I forget who it was that had the report. It might have been Ian Rappaport, who asked somebody in the building, why are they going with Aiden O'Connell? And the answer was, he's our best quarterback.
Yeah, that was Rapp.
Yeah. So it will be Aiden O'Connell, first NFL start for him when the Raiders play on Sunday. Also, the Falcons are making a quarterback change.
Thank God.
That's the first place Atlanta Falcons to you, tied with the Saints at 4-4 atop the AFC South. They will go with Taylor Heineke against the Vikings this Sunday. Heineke, Hall. It's the Vikings and the Falcons. Keep it far away from me.
Here's the thing about Taylor Heineke. Like, is Taylor Heineke good? If we were playing Is It Good today, would you say Taylor Heineke is good?
No.
Honestly, probably not. But you know what he is? He's confident. He's fun as hell. Like, he is absolutely a quarterback you tune in to watch because you don't know what's going to happen. It's like truly the poor man's Brett Favre. There's no further joke. Don't play on poor man. Like that's what he is. Like, he's gonna sling it and cock back and throw it as far as he can, and you don't know where it's going, neither does he, but it's fun. But he's like, you can win with that. Like, no game, like if he gets hot, you can win with a good Taylor Heineke game.
Guy almost beat Tom Brady in the playoffs, man.
Desmond Ridder is just miserable to watch.
Yeah.
Just awful. Doesn't take care of the ball, doesn't make smart decisions. It is just
And
bad.
Atlanta's defense is legitimately excellent.
Yeah.
Like, I don't know if it's a top 5 defense in the league, but it's a top 10 defense in the league, I think, as far as I'm concerned. It's in that conversation. And certainly they have an excellent running game. They just need a guy at quarterback who's going to keep it in the road. Just keep it between the lines and don't steer it off a cliff. And they could not trust Desmond Ridder not to steer it off a cliff any longer. So this move makes a lot of sense. It might even be a couple of weeks too late, to be honest with you. And I mean, with Heineke, the controls, I think you have to consider them the favorites in that division. I really do. I think they can win that division with Heineke at quarterback.
Because the other thing, too, with a quarterback who's just going to cock back and chuck it, you know what that's good with? Gigantic wide receivers who can win jump balls. You know what the Falcons have in spades? Gigantic receivers who can win jump balls. I like that a lot for them. I really do. I saw someone phrase it this way. Desmond Ridder has proven he is not a top 40 quarterback in the league. Is Taylor Heineke a top 30 quarterback in the NFL right now? Honestly, yeah. Is that good? Absolutely not. But is it better than beyond 40? Yeah, absolutely. And if you can go win a division with him, then go do it. Let's piggyback on that, in fact, with a couple other pieces of news and notes from the NFL today. It is official. Will Levis is going to start at quarterback for Tennessee. Not a surprise, but Ryan Tannehill has indeed been ruled out for tomorrow night against the Steelers. The Steelers, meanwhile, ahead of Thursday Night Football, they have activated their best defensive lineman, Cameron Hayward. That is a big deal for the Steelers. I think they're making the playoffs. They are just so nasty to play against. Now, their offense is just butt. It is muddy, gross, smelly butt. Their defense is nasty, and they just win. And George Pickens makes one great catch a game to seem to get them over the top.
And they're going to have Kenny Pickett. He's been banged up, but looks like he is going to play a practice today, so he'll play Thursday.
Additionally, remember when the Chicago Bears fired their defensive coordinator, Alan Williams, under mysterious circumstances we still don't have any details about?
I do remember that, yes.
Today, the Chicago Bears fired their running backs coach, David Walker, due to an issue with behavior in the workplace. He had been previously reprimanded by the Bears Human Resources Department for a workplace misconduct issue. And a second such instance led to his firing. What? How does that happen to 2 coaches in 1 year? That your NFL team's HR has to answer for them.
Yeah, that might be a first. I don't recall that ever happening before.
Seems majorly problematic. Why don't we get to our MLB playoff roundup? let's get to that next.
Yes, let's do that. Let's do our Major League Baseball playoff roundup because we may crown a champion tonight in Phoenix as the Texas Rangers defeated the Arizona Diamondbacks 11-7 in a game that was in no way closer than the final score indicated. It was much more of a blowout than the final score indicated as Texas led this game 10-0 after just 2.5 innings. Arizona went out there with the intent to do a bullpen game, and their bullpen got thrown into the trash can early and often by the Rangers. Corey Seager, Marcus Simeon with some big swings of the bat, which they've been doing throughout the series. And now the Rangers, founded in 1961 as the Washington Senators, are one win away from their first championship in franchise history. They'll hand the ball to certified big game pitcher Nathan Eovaldi, who did take the loss in game one of this series, or what did leave as the losing pitcher of record in game one of this series. The Rangers had to rally back and win that game. Zach Gallen, the best pitcher for the Diamondbacks on the mound for Arizona. No Adolis Garcia or Max Scherzer for the rest of the series for the Rangers, whether it ends tonight or goes the distance. Both players were removed from the World Series roster because of injuries that they suffered during Game 3. Travis Jankowski got the start in place of Adolis Garcia, and all he did was get 2 hits and score 2 runs in those twin 5-run innings that the Rangers posted in both the second and the third frames. So the Rangers could end it tonight and win their first ever championship. But of course, the Diamondbacks did crawl out of a 3-2 hole against the Phillies in the NLCS. So not dead, can't quit with them. But sure feels like tonight's the night for the Rangers.
So there's been a lot of discourse today. Never good. That's a word that has taken on more and more weight in the internet, social media era, talking about something's discourse. But there's been a lot of it about the bullpen game in the World Series. And a lot of baseball writers and personalities have said, this sucks, this is bad, I hate that this was in a World Series, yada, yada, yada. And look, you know that as much as I hate anything that has changed about baseball in the last 10 years, I hate that starting pitchers don't go full games anymore. And I hate the concept of essentially having a bullpen day be a part of your rotation. I don't like it. I like starting pitchers that pitch 7+ innings. I like that part of baseball. I also think that, does it make a difference whether your bullpen or Kyle Davies gives up 10 runs in 3 innings? Like, in the long run, does that make much of a difference? I probably don't think so. I was curious what you thought, though, because no, you're in the same way in like starting pitchers. Like, the starting pitcher should be the headline. That should be on the marquee of the game.
Part of the story.
Yes.
Yeah, part of the way you tell the story of a game is the story of the starting pitcher. And if the starting pitcher, if it is a Kyle Davies like pitcher or whoever it happens to be that goes out and gives up 10 runs in 3 innings, then that's part of the story. Like, man, this starting pitcher came out and he just had nothing. And the other team, they were all over him. They smothered him. They absolutely jumped him from the very beginning. And in a case like this, it's, oh yeah, these random middle relievers that the Diamondbacks tried to sneak through the early part of this game, they weren't good, which a lot of times they aren't, because if they were good, they'd be starting pitchers. Like, that's, every reliever is a failed starter. That's kind of how it works. Even the best relievers, like Aroldis Chapman, failed starter. That's why he became one of the best relievers of his generation. That's how it works. So yes, I do think that it is, it detracts, I think, from the narrative when you don't have a starting pitcher. Like, the bullpen game is not sexy. Sometimes you got to do it. Sometimes you have to do it out of desperation. But I think you see how different these two teams are, how different their rosters are, where the Rangers already down their game 4 starter because he had to pitch in long relief in game 3. Well, they just turned it over to another guy who started a bunch of games for him this year, and Andrew Heaney, the guy who has pitched well in the major leagues for a long period of time, has dealt with some injuries, but was really good last year. Rangers signed him to a contract, kind of had an up and down year, but he's a guy that you see Andrew Heaney on the marquee, you think, yeah, he can get you through, 4, 5, 6 innings, and he's going to strike some guys out. Good left-hander. He's going to be tough on lefties. Like, that's how the Rangers are built. They acquired depth in starting pitching. The Diamondbacks have 2 guys. And they had the emergence of a third in Brandon Pfaadt, their rookie, which has been really helpful to them through this playoff run, that he has pitched above his regular season performance. But okay, they have 3 guys.
Yeah.
And the 4th game is just going to have to be this. And it was this against the Phillies. And if that hadn't worked, if Craig Kimbrell hadn't blown his stack in the 8th inning of Game 4 of the NLCS, then we're not talking about the Diamondbacks anymore because they would have gone home. So it's just what it underlines is how different the teams are and how much deeper the Rangers are. And that's why they were a better regular season team, nearly won their division, would have probably won it going away if not for some injuries to some key guys like Corey Seager, who's about to win World Series MVP. And the Diamondbacks aren't. They aren't deep. And that's why they only won 84 games and snuck into the playoffs and had to get on a generational heater just to get here. So it's the bullpen game, one way or another, is very revealing. How you get there says a lot about the kind of team that you have put together.
Let's wrap up our 580 Sports Talk headlines there for today. Coming up on the other side of the break, it is the biggest headline from the NFL today. And it was broken at about midnight Central Time this past evening. The Las Vegas Raiders have fired Josh McDaniels. He is the first coach ever to be fired by 2 different teams before the end of his 2nd season. That's what we're talking about here. We'll break it all down, and we're going to make fun of it in full. Coming up next here on 580 Sports Talk.
Hey, got some breaking news here to start this hour. Bob Knight has passed away.
Wow.
The legendary college basketball coach, irascible former head coach of the Indiana Hoosiers and Texas Tech Red Raiders, coach of the unbeaten 1976 Indiana Hoosiers, the last team to make it through an entire college basketball season without a loss, has passed away today at the age of 83. That is per the Bob Knight Legacy Twitter account.
Wow. That is that's a monumental death in the sports world and certainly in the college basketball world. I love to give big summaries of things after big games or big moments or history. I like to, I like to give things the pomp and circumstance I feel like they deserve. With news breaking like that, I cannot do that for Bob Knight. I think his legacy is too grandiose, both good and bad, and too complicated, good and bad, to be able to do that right now. I will just say that is a big loss for the college basketball world.
It is accurate to say that he is one of the greatest coaches in the history of college athletics.
Yes.
It is also accurate to say that he was, in many ways, not a real good guy.
No.
And there were players who were who loved him, who would have gone to the wall for him, players who absolutely adored Coach Knight, and there were players who were made miserable, physically abused, verbally abused by Bobby Knight in ways that were ruinous to their, not just their athletic careers, but their lives as well. Did you ever read Season on the Brink?
I never have.
So that is a book that it's John Feinstein's book, where he followed the Indiana Hoosiers through the 1985-86 college basketball season. Much like Buzz Bissinger and Friday Night Lights, maybe a better book if you show up the next year when they win the whole thing, because, of course, the Hoosiers were national champions in 1987. But Feinstein's there for the 85-86 season. He has full and complete access to Knight and his coaching staff and his team. And it is a fascinating book. It's one of the first, adult books I ever read. It was the first time I had encountered some certain epithets in my life. My dad had a paperback copy of it, and I think I snagged it. I was too young to have been reading it. Let me say that. I was probably like 8 or 9 when I read A Season on the Brink for the first time.
You definitely learned a lot then.
Yes, it was very educational. But you saw that there was a determination to succeed and a drive to win and an understanding of how to win that all great coaches must have. But the motivational tactics on display were downright cruel to just be honest about it. There was a lot of cruelty, belittling these 18 to 22-year-olds that he was in charge of, and definitely left an impression on me. And the other thing that I read about him, there's a famous profile in Sports Illustrated. Frank, the legendary sports writer Frank DeFord wrote the profile. It's called The Rabbit Hunter. And if you Google Frank DeFord, The Rabbit Hunter, it'll come up. And you can read it on the Sports Illustrated vault. And I recommend that you do. And the idea that Bobby Knight would always say to his players, don't chase the rabbits. The rabbits are the insignificant stuff. Like when you're hunting, hunt the big game.
Yeah.
Don't hunt the rabbits. Focus on the big stuff. Don't focus on the small stuff. And it was ironic coming from Bobby Knight because he was a man who felt every slight, perceived or real, and chased a hell of a lot of rabbits. And he did it as a coach, and he did it as a broadcaster, which wild that he had any kind of broadcasting career, let alone the long broadcasting career
for a long
that
time.
he had afterwards. Complicated is probably, it feels like a cop-out to say, but I think it's really true, because there are a lot of people that will give Bobby Knight his flowers and say, accentuate the positives with him, and they were there, no question about it. But man, he ruined a lot of kids, and he hurt a lot of people on the way to those championships. So yeah, that was a little unexpected. I had not heard that he was in ill health or failing health, so this wasn't one that you could kind of see coming a little bit. But he had been out of the public eye for a good while, and that just breaking about 10-15 minutes ago that Bob Knight has passed away at the age of 83.
Yeah, I mean, he is without question, in terms of basketball, one of the greatest to ever do it. I mean, are you talking like, I hate this, but Mount Rushmore kind of name? Like Wooden, Krzyzewski, Bob Knight's got a claim to it.
Yes. 3 national championships, including, again, the last undefeated team, the 1976 Indiana Hoosiers. Also won it in 81, the Isaiah Thomas team, and then 87, Keith Smart's last second shot to beat Syracuse.
And 3-time coach of the year.
Yep. And it wasn't as though those were he had the peaks, but then there were great valleys. Wasn't a great run at Texas Tech, but he was still winning at a high level at Indiana. Went to the Final Four in 93.
He won almost 71% of his games for his career, and he coached nearly 1,300 games.
Yeah.
That's a lot of winning for a really long time. And wow, that is major news in the sports world. I'm sure we will get more memorials and in memoriams and thoughts about Bob Knight, both, in good faith and not in good faith over the next 24 hours or so.
Yes, I would love to. I don't know if John Feinstein's doing a lot of like newspaper writing or like blog writing or anything like that. I know he's got a book out, a biography of David Fairty that's just out fairly recently. Feinstein, also a longtime golf writer, but Feinstein spent a lot of time with Bob Knight, and then no time anymore ever again after A Season on the Brink came out for reasons that will be obvious if you read the book. But would love to get his perspective, and certainly the perspective of anybody who's been in college basketball for a long time, because again, there's a lot to that. He mentored Mike Krzyzewski, and then the two had a falling out for a very long time. Like, there were a lot of enemies. Bob Knight had a lot of enemies. That was a longer list.
Mm-hmm.
The people who had slighted him, the people who he felt had disrespected him. He had a much longer list of those than the list of people that, admired him or defended him by the end. And I don't know that for me that would have been a fulfilling way to live, but that was what drove Bob Knight. Those slights. He was the rabbit hunter.
Let's get to a break, because I think that deserves its own segment here on the show. So we're going to take a break. We're going to come back, and we will finally get to the fact that Josh McDaniels is no longer the head coach of the Las Vegas Raiders. That's next on 580 Sports Talk. Just moments after midnight Central Time last night, the Las Vegas Raiders announced that they have fired their head coach. I'm going to get to all of the details first here, and then we will laugh. I might break into laughter while reporting all of it. Josh McDaniels fired. The first coach in NFL history to be fired before the end of his second season by two different franchises. That is futility that nobody will ever come close to, probably ever again. That's number one. They also fired the general manager, Dave Ziegler, another Patriot Way guy who was always hired because he was buddies with Josh McDaniels. He is out. Antonio Pierce, their linebackers coach. He is their new interim head coach. Antonio Pierce, you might remember for being a pretty good linebacker in the NFL with the Giants. You also might remember him because he was right at the center of Arizona State's scandal during the COVID year under Herm Edwards, which got them eventually in trouble with the NCAA. He was right at the center of that entire thing, which only adds to how funny this is. They have hired a new play caller, or they've promoted a new play caller, and it is not any of the 3 former offensive coordinators they have on staff. They have 3, including Scott Turner, who had coached for some okay teams before. None of those guys ended up getting the job. Someone who's never called plays before has. Their quarterback's coach. So there's all of that. Immediately after Antonio Pierce took over, the Raiders announced that Jimmy Garoppolo is no longer their starting quarterback and Aiden O'Connell is. And I think that pretty much covers the important details here when it comes to this story. On one hand, this was handled properly. Like, I'm very much in the, don't worry about sunk costs. Like, you're going to owe Josh McDaniels this money that you guaranteed him no matter what. So why just let him linger around and suck and get worse for the next 4 years? It is only going to get worse. Just cut your losses. You're an NFL team. You can make up for it.
Well,
it's the Raiders.
It's the Raiders. Mark Davis owns this team. Like,
maybe he'll need to sell 10% of the team to make it happen, but that you can make it work.
That is one of the mind-boggling things about this. Like, we got a lot of jokes from Mark Davis.
Yeah.
He's not entirely bad at this. And the evidence is that he also owns the Las Vegas Aces, who are the gold standard in the WNBA and have won back-to-back titles.
Yeah.
He owns that team. The players seem to like him, at the very least liked him enough to include him in their post-game championship celebration when they clinched another WNBA championship just a couple of weeks ago, in fact. So he's not totally inept at the concept of choosing smart people to be in charge and hiring good coaches and things like that. What the hell is wrong with the Raiders?
There's no good explanation for why he was hired in the first place. None. Not a single one. A guy who has always just survived as a parasite under Bill Belichick, failed miserably and pissed off everyone in Denver when he was with the Broncos, went back to the Patriots, mooched off the success of Belichick and Brady, gets the job in Indy, hires a full staff, and then pulls out, leaving all of those staff members in the lurch to go back to New England like the coward that he is. Gets this job again, and if you're a Raider fan, you had to know this was coming. You had to.
It was never going to work.
Never.
We
never had a prayer.
We got all the evidence we needed in the first go around with Josh McDaniels. We got all in a season and a half in Denver. When you look at what happened to that organization, when you listen to the players who played for him when he was the head coach, to understand just what an unlikable egomaniac Josh McDaniels was as a head coach. The Broncos axed him midway through year 2. You don't get fired year 2 or midway through year 2 if you are not an utter failure.
Mm-hmm.
And so we have this evidence that this is what Josh McDaniels will be in this job. Sure, he looked great propped up next to Tom Brady and Bill Belichick and the Patriots. There have been a lot of guys who've looked really good on that sideline, and then they go on another sideline and they get the responsibility of being a head coach, and it doesn't work. We don't have enough airtime for the whole list. It's pretty much all of them. Everybody who is the Bill Belichick coaching tree got a lot of rotten fruit. And we knew Josh McDaniels was rotten fruit, and yet Jim Irsay tried to hire him. Which, maybe that makes sense.
I was going to say, the Bolins generally considered good owners, but look at the other owners who tried to and did hire him. Jim Irsay and Mark Davis. That probably tells you a lot of what you need to know.
And then he leaves the Colts in the lurch.
Yep.
Leaves all those assistant coaches in the lurch as well. And yet a third chance to do this job appears. And not just any chance. He took over a playoff team. Remember, The Raiders were in the playoffs 2 years ago, and then they went and got the best wide receiver in the NFL, and they have been utterly unwatchable, insipid. They downgraded at quarterback from Derek Carr. Not easy, but they managed, and now they are this. It took a while. I think most people thought this was where we would be when the season began, and it was more about not thinking the Broncos were going to start as slowly as they did. But I think we got eventually, 8 weeks into the season, we're exactly where we thought we would be, with the Las Vegas Raiders being unquestionably, I think, the worst team in the AFC West.
Oh, yeah, easily. Not even close.
It happened in a year and a half. Josh McDaniels took over a roster that had gone to the playoffs. And say what you will about that, it was a flawed roster. It wasn't a great team by any means. That was probably their ceiling, the 7 seed in the AFC. And now they're this in a year and a half, made in Josh McDaniels' image. This is who he is. There can't be any more chances. And the other thing, too, Josh McDaniels as an offensive coordinator. Like, a lot of times, guys get hired as a coordinator, and they get hired to be head coaches. And the thought is, well, they're going to bring their style with them, right? Like, Shane Steichen got hired by the Colts to be their head coach. Let's use him as an example.
Yeah.
Shane Steichen gets hired. You think about the Eagles' run game and the creativity that they had in the running game with a mobile quarterback, and you think, okay, he can bring that to his new situation. When you hire, like when Steve Spagnuolo got his chance as a head coach, it didn't work out, obviously. But the idea was, okay, his blitzing, his creativity as a blitzer, his use of blitz packages and interchangeable pieces on the defensive line, he's going to bring that thought process to his job as a head coach. You tell me this, Brendan. You answer me this question. What is the Josh McDaniels offense? What is the Josh McDaniels schematic advantage? What is the Josh McDaniels difference?
He was really good at getting Tom Brady coffee. Like, I had seen that argument when McDaniels was hired. Was, hey, look, I know it was Belichick. I know it was Brady. He was there for a lot of those rings. He was a part of that. And you're right. He was a part of that. Like Matt Nagy is a part of it with the Kansas City Chiefs. Nobody who knows anything about the Chiefs has any misconception about what Matt Nagy does. He is there to be a hall monitor and a babysitter. Like, that's what he's there to be. Like, hey, Patrick, can you pay attention in the meeting? Like, that's what Matt Nagy's job is. Okay. Like, that's what Josh McDaniels was doing there. So they were not running the Josh McDaniels offense. They were running the Tom Brady offense. And there is a difference.
So you hire coaches for 2 reasons, right? One of 2 reasons you hire a head coach. One reason is you think they are going to bring you, and again, I'll use this term because I will forever think about it by virtue of being in this state, the decided schematic advantage. Like, that is, you think you're getting that with the head coach you hire, a schematic advantage on one side or another of the football, or you are getting the leader of men, right? The guy who can command a locker room, the guy who you know is going to hire smart people around him and is going to inspire, the CEO coach, if you will. What has ever been in evidence that Josh McDaniels was either of those things?
Nothing. Not a single damn thing. Not one. Not one thing.
And we're just talking about Josh McDaniels, the coach here.
Yeah, he's a loser, too.
Because we're not talking about Josh McDaniels, the general manager. I want to talk about Josh McDaniels, the general manager, real quick.
And I think that's important to note because Dave Ziegler was the general manager. Dave Ziegler was there because of Josh McDaniels.
Yes.
That they were tied together in a way that few general managers and head coaches are.
Yeah, Josh McDaniels was still buying the groceries.
Yeah.
So to speak. What kind of groceries was Josh McDaniels buying when he was the head coach of the Denver Broncos? He's the man who made Tim Tebow a first-round draft pick in the NFL. He also, and I can't believe this is a real thing. This is the kind of thing that if it had been a plot line in the movie Draft Day, I would think it was even more unrealistic than it actually was. But in the 2009 draft, the Denver Broncos traded a future first-round pick for a second-round pick. They traded a future first for a second-round pick. They used that second-round pick, by the way, to draft a gentleman named Alphonso Smith. It was the 37th overall pick in the draft. Have you ever heard of Alphonso Smith?
Only because I know of this story.
Alphonso Smith, cornerback, Wake Forest. 1 year with the Broncos. After his rookie year, they let him go. He went to Detroit. He played 3 more seasons. He was out of the NFL by age 27. That first-round pick went to Seattle and ended up being a guy that you have heard of named Earl Thomas. He traded a first-rounder for a second-round pick. An early second-round pick.
The thing, and it's easy as a fan to call someone dumb or stupid because you don't like really know, and it's easy to
or say that they have a monkey brain, or that they would probably forget to breathe if they didn't have instructions printed on their arm.
Yeah, like that's easy to do from 1,000 feet away. I am pretty certain Josh McDaniels is dumb, like dumb, not intelligent, not very smart, not just about football. Like he will go down. I said this on Twitter, and I mean this. He will go down as one of the both worst and dumbest coaches of all time in very, very rare company.
Like generational stupidity we're talking about here. Like, and it's not just the personnel stuff, as we've outlined.
It's everything.
It was the in-game stuff. It was the fact that there was nothing about the Raiders that made them like distinctive. There's nothing about them that made them hard to play against. They were not a team with a personality. They were not a team with an ethos. For years and years, the Raiders had that.
Mm-hmm.
And they have been searching for that for years. And why they thought Josh McDaniels was going to be the guy that restored an identity to Raider football will never make sense to me. But I can tell you this, we are never going to see his like again. We will tell our grandkids about Josh McDaniels. When we think about all-time dunces on the NFL sideline, Josh McDaniels will be one of the first names that comes up.
Makes Ray Rhodes look like Don Shula. One final note here. The Raiders have also fired their offensive coordinator, Mick Lombardi. His dad is Mike Lombardi. You want to talk about nepotism? By the way, not related to Joe Lombardi, which means not related to Vince Lombardi. These are two separate Lombardi families in this current generation that are full of doofuses. Mike, the NFL insider Patriot guy, who is just awful at his job and has no real sources, went on a tirade 2 years ago because he thought the Eagles were the dumbest team in the league for hiring Nick Sirianni over Josh McDaniels. It just so happens Josh McDaniels gets another job, and then his son gets hired onto his staff. Not everyone has time to look for all these links and connections in media and in football or just sports coaching in general. If you look, they are all there, though, and it is not a surprise that the Raiders are tied up in that, and they get exactly what they deserve for having Josh McDaniels on their staff. Good riddance. I don't care about the Raiders, frankly, except for when the Chiefs are my team, the Packers play them, but they got what they deserve for this, and if you're a Raiders fan, I hope you're celebrating today because you deserve it. We have to get to a quick break. We'll wrap things up with the final word after this on 580 Sports Talk. Let's wrap up 580 Sports Talk with a quick final word, Dan.
So disappointing that the Big 12 didn't try harder to maintain historic rivalries in their football scheduling plan for the next 4 years. And hopefully they take a little bit of a look at it after the 4-year cycle and say, you know what, maybe we ought to play Farmageddon every year. Maybe we ought to play Colorado, Utah every year, because those schools will get up for those games. And games like that, tentpole games that both sides circle on the calendar, that's what can make your league great and make your league stand out and make it distinctive as a product.
Final word for me today, other than the fact that the new Big 12 football schedule sucks. I'm not really ready for college basketball to be here, but I'm going to tell you what, in just about 40 minutes when I'm inside Allen Fieldhouse for the first time this year, watching some KU basketball, all of a sudden, I'm going to be so ready for college basketball to be back. KU and K-State, both in exhibition action tonight. The Jayhawks will be taking on Fort Hays State and Lawrence. I'll be at that one. K-State also coming up next here on our airwaves as they play exhibition basketball against Emporia State. We're back tomorrow with a full show from 2 until 6. For Jake Laban, for Dan Lucero, I'm Brendan Brzezinski. We'll join you tomorrow at 2 on 580 Sports Talk.